Okay, so I actually probably should be doing other stuff today, but I decided to make extra time to do a bit of streaming today because there's a lot of Edge of Eternity stuff coming out, and I'm falling a little behind, obviously. So, do we have more Avatar cards released? But anyway, so I'm going to try to. I know I said I was going to stream more. I'm working on it. I'm just trying to find a job and stuff. But so what we're going to do is, because we have the trailers out, I'm going to read the story first. And then once we do that, I'm going to watch the trailer and then probably listen to the thing. Hopefully it's not too boring. Oh, they have fucking mechanic. Oh, hold on. Everyone, sorry. Fuck it. We're looking at the mechanics first. Then we'll do some side stories. I'm sorry. The mail just came out in me. Where's the story? Edge of Eternities. This might just give me the product. Where the story? I forgot what the stories are. Okay, so last time we finished one side story. Dude, I'm way fucking behind. We got a lot to catch up on. I'm not gonna do it all today, but what I should start doing is, because it comes out August 1st, I guess each day I should cover like 1 or 2 stories. Because there's a lot of main stories. Holy shit. Is that an... Oh, okay. We gotta slow the fuck down. So we've seen that. Alright, sorry. We're taking a bit of a detour. I'm done. No excitement. Am I live where it matters? Gotta tell everyone I'm streaming. And then I also obviously will get to finishing Dollars Empty Path. And I also want to I have a lot on my plate I actually need to do for my channel, because I want to go back and edit my playthrough of I can't remember the name. Parapatea. I get the chance. Truly beautiful art. Stunning cinema. And of course, since we have mechanics, I assume we probably have some more leaks. Not leaks, but I mean spoilers. Okay, we do have some cool stuff. A gastronaut. Okay, this is some cool shit. It's mostly alternative card art. Not that I hate that. I just really would prefer to see a normal card art first to compare it to. Man, these guys are kind of giving like their armor kind of, and the like. I'm not saying it looks like a Space Marine armor, but like in the bulkiness and like sort of shape, like a sort of like power armor esque look. I keep bringing Warhammer not because like I'm just trying to boss baby it, but it's very clear that they have taken direct inspiration from Warhammer 40k. So we'll check out the mechanics first, and then maybe okay. I'm trying to figure out the order to do this. I guess we'll do mechanics. We can watch the trailer, and then I'll read the story, and maybe we can check out some of the spoilers. Or maybe we should do the mechanics and then spoilers. Ah, fuck my eyes. I turned off night shift from time immemorial. Edge of Eternities mechanics. Sorry, I just gotta relax. I talk way too fast because of my ADHD. From time immemorial, beings on this world and countless others look skyward and saw only one thing: possibility. Beyond the known multiverse lies wonder, adventure, and even more magic than you can possibly imagine. Also, sorry if you were saying something. Sorry if I missed it in the chat. I post this in the Radley channel, maybe. I don't want to like just advertise myself, but there you go. What else do I need to do? Is that everything? Okay, probably open stream dock, yeah. Mechanics. Open my YouTube on my phone so I can check to see if anyone says anything. I will try to do a better job of doing that periodically. Okay, from time immemorial, beings on this world and countless others looked skyward and saw only one thing: possibility. Beyond the known multiverse lies wonder, adventure, and even more magic than you could imagine. Edge of Eternities takes us to the Solterra system, with worlds to explore and treasures to uncover. It's our first foray into space. Technically, not. Is it? Okay, I know we've never had like a set based on space, but do we have any? I guess we don't have any cards of picking space because in canon there have been several planes in which they have had space travel. Like I'm pretty sure, for example, like Dominaria has other planets, like canonically, and I think Ravnica did have a space program to the Solterra system with worlds to explore and treasures to uncover. It's our first foray into space. This is going to be an experience like no other. To prepare you, we have rundown of all the new mechanics that way. Also, I probably should be streaming this, but I'll probably also need a grind Magic Arena because I'm not sure if I'll be able to attend the pre-release in person because I'd really love to draft this set in pre-release. I just don't think it's going to happen. It's probably like the one set this year I probably wouldn't want to draft, which is unfortunate. But we can draft it on Magic Arena, so I do need to make sure I have the coins and stuff to be able to pay for it. You don't need a Planeswalker spacecraft and station. You don't need a Planeswalker spark to explore the mysteries of space. But unless your respiratory system has advanced in an unusual way and you can walk really fast, you do need a ship. Spacecraft is a new artifact subtype. Spacecraft represents the various warships, various cruisers, and other spaceworthy vessels that you'll use to get around here. Welcome aboard, Captain. When the spacecraft enters Surveilled 2 station, tap another creature you control. Put a charge counters equal to its power on the spacecraft station. Only as a sorcery, it's an artifact creature at 4/+1. Okay, so there's a couple things to break down. So one thing I was interested is I'm surprised spacecraft isn't like a type of vehicle. Like I would have assumed it would have been artifact like vehicle, and then all the spacecrafts would have been vehicles. This is a very interesting direction they're pulling this as far as flavoring goes, because they very easily could just make these vehicles and then work like, oh, you got someone to pilot it. Your spaceship can like fly. So what seems to be happening is that so they still have the flavor of like you have to pilot the ship in the sense that you have to like power it up. But it doesn't immediately come in as a 2/2 creature with flying. How it's working is when it enters, you surveil 2, and then it's stationed. So basically it's like docked somewhere flavor wise, and then you can tap a creature to basically like power it up and get it flying. And then once you get enough energy, you can basically fly. So it's a very interesting take on like a spaceship that was unexpected. But I mean, at first I was kind of a little bit confused, but the more you think about it, like flavor wise, the more it kind of makes sense. Even if it's not the first place your mind would go to. As far as the art here, I mean, it's pretty. I mean, obviously we have something. So I can't really tell which way this is flying. It looks like this is the front, and like I think this is the front, and then these are like the wing-ish stuff like behind it. I mean, there's not like obviously this is kind of the main character. You don't see any actual people, so the vehicle itself is the main character. A lot of silver. You can like it's colorless. So not every colorless card is necessarily like silver and gray, but a lot of the time colors associated with like obviously like this kind of gray or silver tone. And then you have the lights coming down, which help draw your attention to it. There's not a whole lot going on. It's mostly just like looking down. Something like clearly, what's interesting is that we're clearly with the full art. It's clear that we're on the ground looking up at the ship. So the ship's probably pretty big. It's actually it could be very far away. It's a little ambiguous in terms of size. So I mean, not a lot to say about this art piece. It's not bad. It's like very technically, extremely technically well done. I can't stress this enough. It's just that let me just make sure my mic is on the right. It's just that there's not like a a whole lot going on because there doesn't need to be. It's just like you see the ship. The ship is well rendered. It's good machinery. I mean, I don't have anything else to say. Like, you tell Cafe's a colorless card. There's not like a lot of like bright colors. There's like only like a little bit of red dot for like etc. So you can see it better. Obviously, once again, we have the background of space, which is like purple and blue, which seems to be the color of space for the most part. There's like exceptions, obviously, like it looks green sometimes, but here I imagine the purple's like the presence of super void, and blue might be all the aether in space. So wormwall sweeper. We did hear about the wormwall. It's like basically an asteroid, like kind of like I want to say like an asteroid belt like around the system. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure if that's like the right term. It might be more like a. I guess when I say belt, it implies like a specific like as a ring, but it might be more like a sphere. I don't 100% sure remember that, but there is like stuff living there. So I mean, considering that, like, there's definitely kind of like a mysterious thing going on with this art, where sort of like we ourselves might be hiding in the brush, or might be some sort of worm or creature as this thing flies by, as like investigating what's going on. That's pretty interesting. Each spacecraft starts out as an artifact, but most can become artifact creatures with the help of some intrepid explorers. But a ship without a crew just kind of sits there. So yeah, that's where the counters come in, where the charge counters. Although I wonder if they could have put something more flavorful in charge counters, but at the same time, it's like Metro already has so many different kinds of counters. I'm not sure you want to overcomplicate it unless you really feel like you have to get the point across. To do that, you'll need the new station ability. Station is an activated ability that can be activated only as a sorcery, meaning during your main phase when the stack is empty, which is unlike crew, because crew can be activated instant speed. You can like, so basically crew you can activate it outside of your turn, basically, and like in response to certain things, which you can't really do with sorceries. And not to mention with crew, you can like, if someone like attacks you and you have a vehicle, you can crew it, turn it into a creature instead of sort of like block or something. To activate the station ability, tap an untapped creature you control, other than the spacecraft itself, which will soon become a creature, as you'll see. This can be any other untapped creature you control, including one that came under your control this turn. As the ability resolves, put a number of charge counters equal to the creature's power on the spacecraft. So it is like a different like variation of crew, because crew and station both rely on how much power a creature has. But what station is doing is sort of like stores it almost like you're basically crewing it, but instead of like immediately turning it into a creature, you store it for later. And then once you hit the requisite, it just becomes like a creature for like permanently, or until it gets bounced or something. Once the spacecraft has a number of charge counters on it equal to or greater than the number indicated in the circle on the left side of its text box, so this circle, it becomes a creature with power and toughness indicated on the right side. It also has any ability found in the lower lower striation of the text box. For example, if Wormwall Sweeper has 3 charge counters on it, it's not a creature and doesn't have flying. Once it gains its 4 charge counter, it becomes a 2/2 artifact creature with flying. So it seems like no matter what, basically it always enters as like it'll surveil. So it seems like some of them will just kind of have like passive or like abilities that kind of just like a normal artifact might have, but the benefit being able to become a creature later if you want it to, which actually adds a interesting like a bit of like kind of like modalness to it. Like if you don't want it to be a creature because you're afraid it'll get targeted, you can kind of just like leave it as like an artifact or something. We haven't seen any with like passive abilities, I don't think, but I assume at least one will. And holy shit, I can't wait to look at this art. But do we have any other spacecrafts? So far, it seems like they all have like entry abilities, so you can kind of play them like as normal artifacts. If you just want to leave them as artifacts because you're afraid they're gonna be targeted or something, you can just leave it. But you can also like turn it into a creature if you really need it. See, like this one, this like ability, like it has ability to tap. So you could totally play this, and if you're like, I don't really want it to be, I don't know why you wouldn't necessarily would, but like I don't want it to be a creature, you can kind of just leave it and let it. Or maybe that's not isn't turned into a creature, just adds mana actually. Well, I'll think about what I'm gonna say about this later. Like this. So pretty interesting. Obviously, there's obviously an artifact theme here, which is very obvious because it is a sci-fi set. So I don't know why you wouldn't have that. It's like the first place anyone's mind would go like, oh, you need the cool machines and the cool robots, etc. Each spacecraft starts out as an artifact, but most can become artifact creatures. Most, not all, because we just saw an example of one that didn't, with the help of some intrepid explorers. But A ship without a cruiser star sits there. Station, once it gets its 4 charge counter, it becomes a 2/2 creature with flying. Not all spacecrafts become creatures once they reach the indicated number of charge counters. If there is no power and toughness indicated, it simply means the spacecraft will have the ability listed in that part of the text box, but it won't become an artifact creature. So that's pretty interesting. I guess like the idea here is that like some of these like more like, you know, mobile ships that you're like flying around, and then you have ones that are like more like just space stations that kind of just sit. They sit there, but now you have like people in them basically like control. Oh, I've been waiting for this card because I remember like surprisingly not is it. I thought it was like going to be like an is it card because of all the blue. I guess blue is just like the background color they're using for space. We got a warp. Hello. We'll figure out the warp cost later. So like this is just like a station. It's not really like flying around. I guess the idea is like you just have people in it. Oh, this is so fucking cute. Holy fucking shit. Oh my god. You stay there. Okay, I guess I'm getting distracted. Spacecraft, vehicles, and Commander. We interrupt this mechanic article for an important space bulletin. Okay, it's really just an update to Commander rules. Starting with Edge of Eternities, legendary vehicles, legendary spacecrafts with their printed power and toughness are eligible to be Dex Commander. I have no problem with that. That just kind of makes sense. I mean, I don't think anyone will complain. Like, you maybe argue some of the flavor, I guess. I don't really know how vehicles like your commander, but like I don't think anyone's gonna complain because like people have always looked. I've seen people look at vehicles like, oh, that makes such a sick commander. I don't think it's gonna break anything per se on its own. Maybe there's a broken vehicle I'm unaware of, but it just kind of makes sense, I suppose. Like if you want to run your legendary vehicle or spacecraft, like fair enough. Not like I would have complained even if someone like ran up and this wasn't the rule. Like they were like, hey, can I play my vehicle as my commander? I'd be like, fuck it, man, sure. Nothing is changing regarding color identity. Also, obviously, still legendary, so still applies legendary rules. Like you can't have like multiple. So you know, nothing is changing regarding color identity. So if you choose a colorless vehicle or a spacecraft as your commander, you'll need to build your deck accordingly. But now you have some more hardware building deck options. So yeah, like it also just makes intuitive sense. Like you still you know, vehicles and spacecraft still have color identities, etc., etc. Happy deck building. I will say it will be interesting seeing cards like this. I mean, not that there haven't been commanders that like aren't creatures sometimes before, but like it's really interesting. Gonna be interesting seeing like, for example, like I guess having a commander that's just not a creature, because if you can have a spacecraft, because like with the vehicles it makes sense because vehicles do turn into creatures. It's like the point, right? But like this doesn't turn into a vehicle, so you could basically just have like this legendary artifact spacecraft as your commander and just play it. So I'm wondering if they're going to like ever like let people have like for example legendary enchantments or something. This isn't like really much of a talk as like whether they should or shouldn't. It's more just like, well, if this can be your commander, then what's stopping them from just saying like, oh, legendary enchantments can be your commander? You know what I mean? Because I noticed like some like specific like special like promo cards, like workers and stuff. They're like this legendary enchantment can be your commander kind of thing. So it kind of seems like we're not too far from a future where you just have legendary enchantments of some sort as your commander. Although then again, specifically vehicles and spacecraft, not just any artifacts, not like legendary artifacts. So I guess the idea is like, you know, could be someone in the vehicle, could be someone in the spacecraft. Planet. This is like a land type people have been talking about for forever. It's kind of funny because I think we do have basic lands with like full arts that are like planets, but they're not the planet subtype because they didn't have it at the time. So hold on. Because like we do have like these cards like, oh wait, hold on, no, that's the wrong one. I'm thinking of like there's one like way older. I probably won't be able to find. Oh, here it is. Like these from the unsets, I believe, and Warhammer. Well, not Warhammer, just the unsets. It's just showing me all the printings. But like, Infinity had like. To be fair, Infinity's kind of like a meme set, so, But it's gonna be really weird seeing these and like, oh, that's not a plan. It's just my mountain. Like, okay, I suppose. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Like, you can only. Magic is kind of like a complex beast with a lot of working parts, so it's kind of a miracle that they even got like that even works as like half as well as it does. So I mean, and plus it just says planets, so just like check the type line. Planet is a new non-basic land type. Planets don't have any rules for function rules or functionality tied to it. But the planets we encounter here all happen to have station. So let's just see one. So currently, it doesn't seem like they have like their own identity as far as like mechanics go. Like they are just a type of land. But they could lean to the idea of like planet having station, which to me would make sense. I kind of hope in the future that they lean to the idea that planets like each have station because you can like land on the planet as like a sort of representation. But we'll see. Uthros Titanic God Core. This planet enters tapped. Add 1 blue mana. Station. Tap another creature you control. Put charge counters equal to its power on this planet station only as a sorcery. 12 plus. Add blue for each artifact you control. So there's obviously also like a theme of like mechanically like you can tap your creatures to do stuff. We've already talked about Uthros before about the art. Like you can judge like how distant each planet is by how far away the super void is. This is obviously Uthros is obviously blue because it's home to the squid people who are blue aligned. Maybe I should and there's obviously like a water theme. Or more of a gaseous theme. There is an ocean in there, but there's a gaseous theme. Where do they go? Yeah, so these guys, they seem to be like your blue line. So blue in Magic is often represented by like sea creatures because it's often associated with the elements of water within Magic and also air. Which if you see me talk like any of my articles, you know that like it's because air and water in the Greek classical elements are often associated with like higher more like aspects of the self, like the soul or like the mind, while like earth and fire like more like base emotion and like the body. And blue is like the idea that sort of like symbolic represents blue is like focus on like intellect and the idea of like using your mind to basically like control yourself in the world around you. So this is kind of representing how the planet's like a gas giant. Like of course the gas giant is blue. And additionally, blue also has like giant like it does get big creatures. Like obviously can't cast them as quickly as green can, but it does get like massive creatures like leviathans and stuff. So it makes sense that like the giant planet that could host these things might also be like a blue planet within Magic. And obviously, I don't know. These looks like lightning to me. Could be like cities or something. I'm assuming it's lightning. And it's interesting how the clouds work because they're almost like spiraling off the planet. Like they're not working like how I'd assume an atmosphere would work. I'd assume the atmosphere would be like a lot more like smooth from this far away. But we know that like there's like a race of people that like cloud sculpt on this planet, so that might be what's happening. Is like they're kind of like sculpting these into like sort of like these may also be storms, but also like kind of like sculpted into like ways to enter the planet or like openings or like buildings of some sort, etc. Station once again, it makes sense for both the like artifacts, but also for the planets because you can like basically put people on the planet. You can station them on the planet. Titanic God Core. I mean, I don't really know why it's called God Core. I'm kind of curious. There's probably in the lore somewhere, but it is Titanic. Makes me wonder if there's like something to like we know there's like a secret project going on inside of it, and the man has something to do with it. Just like a spacecraft that doesn't become an artifact creature, these planets don't become creatures. However, once you've activated Uthros' station ability enough to get 12 or more charge counters onto it, it will have its final ability, which is add blue for each artifact you control. Warp. The miracle of space travel is. Wait, so we have warp as a mechanic. I can't wait to see it show up in the next like a Warhammer set, like the warp mechanic. Let me play like with demons. The miracle of space travel has become also literally it's called web travel, but we're going with the warp travel. The miracle of space travel is made possible because, well, those are some big words. Let's just say we figured out how to travel incredibly distant distances faster than expected. Warp is a new ability that lets cards travel to the battlefield faster than expected. Starfield Shepherd. So very interesting, like angel design, because we know angels are usually made from pure white mana, not always. And this is really leaning to the idea that like this looks like a being made of energy as opposed to like just like a solid being, like a person with wings. This is like made of like cosmic dust and shit. They also have like a lot of rainbowy colors. I mean, there are white line, but like the wings are mostly like gold and yellow, which like we know White Lake's leaning into. But honest, very surprising, like a lot of colors for like, you know, Oh, that's like mono white aligned. Like usually Magic tries to be very like specific about like its color coding. Not that it doesn't take perceptions, but we have like a big red dress. Interesting. Like the red dress seems like a solid object, unlike the rest of the creature, even though there are like star patterns. It just seems like a solid like object that it put on. And then we have like it looks like cosmic dust, and they have the cosmic dust like flowing around it into various shapes and animals. Which is pretty interesting because we do know the things living in space um within this plane. So I'm wondering like because we saw the worms, we saw the angels. So I'm wondering if like it's just like wildlife they can just encounter like in gas or just like an effect that the angel's doing. Because it is a shepherd, so I don't know if it's creating these creatures or if it's like gathering these creatures from like across like the nebulas and stuff. Flying. When this creature enters, search your library for a basic planes card or a creature card with your mana value 1 or less. Reveal it, put it into your hand, or then shuffle. Makes sense. It's called a shepherd, so the idea is like it's guiding either a creature to you or it's guiding you to like a plane, like a different area, which in this case is a basic planes card. Interesting. I mean, all the colors can search for their basic lands to an extent. Interesting. Like I think they've been ramping it up for white a bit, like as like to balance it out a bit more. In Commander, warp 1 colorless and 1 white. You may cast this card from your, also obviously it's flying because you can literally see it flying and it has wings. You may cast this card from your hand for its warp cost. Exile this creature at the beginning of your next step, and then you may cast it from exile on your later turn. Okay, so that's interesting. That seems like a pretty good ability. You can cast it now, which probably explains why it's such a low power and stuff. Despite it being like a 5, like a 3/2, like it costs like 3 generic and 2 like white. It costs 5 mana in total. But it's actually very weak, and that's partially because it's a white card, and white creatures tend to have like low power and toughness relatively compared to other colors. But it's probably also because the idea is that it's to balance the fact that you can warp it in, exile it, and then you can cast it. You can save it for later. So basically this card lets you like search for a plane or a creature twice. Obviously, the warp represents like the warp travel, or like I'm not sure if it represents the web travel specifically, because angels might be able to do that. It could represent traveling faster space just in general. It could represent web travel specifically, because like the only beings I'm aware of that can like web travel on their own without any aid is like the Gix. So I don't know if the idea is that it's just traveling really faster space, which would make sense because look at this thing, like it was just flying like a comet. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know if it just represents like something like maybe it finds a ship or something, but maybe I'm just overthinking. Maybe it just represents like web travel, and like how they do it doesn't really matter. Just like, oh, this creature's web traveling. Maybe it found a ship and now it's here. So I mean that's pretty interesting. And then I mean there's not really much for me. So I like the board is just different. Warp represents an alternative cost. If you cast a card with warp from your hand, so it's kind of like, what's that? Everyone knows that one card that like Drifter, Null, Maul Drifter. So it's like Evoke, except you don't sacrifice it. It's vaguely like Evoke. It's kind of like a weird combination of like Evoke and then like Adventure, I guess. Where like I'm like, imagine if Evoke and Adventure were combined, like you can cast it and then it does something and then it leaves and then it comes back and you can like it sits in exile. If you cast a card with a warp cost from your hand, you may choose to also, I assume it's limited by the same like sorcery limitations as casting creature normally, even because it seems like you're just casting it for its warp cost instead of like it's not. I assume warp isn't like you can warp it at instant speed, right? I might be wrong. I might be misunderstanding that, but it seems like it's limited to whatever the creature's casting speed would normally be. If you cast a card with a warp from your hand, you may choose to play its warp cost rather than its mana cost. If you do, you'll exile the permanent. It becomes at the beginning of the next step. It then becomes a warped card, perhaps with sound effects. I hope Arena has some fucking cool sound effects. Whoosh. I'm thinking like boing, like some like weird shit like reality's bending. Once the card is exiled, you can cast it from exile on a later turn. Warp is mostly found on creatures, but it can appear on any permanent card, which makes sense. Because permanents with warp are only around for a short while, at least the first time, they'll have abilities that will make their brief appearance useful. Those might be entering abilities like the one Starfield Shepherd has. They might be, other things. You're pretty bright. I mean, you made it to space. You'll figure it out. Because warp is only usable from your hand, you won't be able to pay the warp cost again when you cast the card from exile. Some cards care about whether a spell was warped this turn. This means that a spell was cast by paying its warp cost. It doesn't matter whether that spell resolved, and it doesn't matter who cast that spell. Remember that a spell's mana value is determined only by its mana cost. So even if you cast a Starfield Shepherd for its warp cost, its mana value remains 5. There's probably some interesting triggers you can do there, because there are cards like that do care about like what is like, hey, whenever you cast a creature that's like 5 or more, that's like has a mana value of 5 or more, you draw a card. So this might be like a way for you to activate that kind of like prematurely, which is kind of interesting. Void. Oh shit. Void. There's a lot of space out in space, and sometimes it's not where you're headed. It's what you've left behind. Void abilities improve what cards do if a non-land permanent left the battle this turn, or if a spell is warped this turn. So it's kind of like Revolt, actually. So, oh yeah, Revolt. So if a permanent left so Revolt, how it works is if if a permanent left you control at the battlefield this turn, activate X ability. So like this seems like a Revolt, except like kind of slightly better because it encompasses also warp abilities, which actually would Revolt not just proc on the warp? Well, okay, hold on. How does warp work? At the next end step. So I guess this works better because you could warp something, and then before it leaves, you could also activate the void ability. With Revolt, it wouldn't activate until the creature leaves. But I mean, so there's some themes I'm noticing. I'm noticing there's probably like a tap creature theme, an artifact theme, probably gonna be like a flicker theme. Interesting for a space set, like flickering in and out of like reality, or like just traveling from area to area. Honestly, it makes me wonder. I do have a flicker like Orzhov deck. I'm wondering if maybe I should get some upgrades for this set. Tragic Trajectory. Target creature gets -2 until the end of the turn. Void. That creature gets -10, -10 until the end of the turn. If a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn, or a spell was warped this turn, rejoice to know you will join suit. Call in Monoist Assassin. So we can assume that what might be happening is Assassin God to this guy, who's clearly a member of the Palatinate, who seem to be white aligned, and it looks like they're being thrown into the Super Void, which we know the Monoist worship. That they have this idea that like everything will become one day, kind of like I guess like a singularity. So and this person's like skin tone is interesting. I don't know if it's just like the lighting, but it kind of looks like, you know, almost like unnatural. Like their eye is red. Clearly the vacuum of space is not good for you. Who knew? And we have this person like flying the Super Void, and this like we also have what I call the halo effect, is like, which is when you put like a light source or something like behind. It's like you see in like a lot of old like Renaissance paintings, like you put like a light source or something like brighter behind the person's head to like basically like act as a frame to draw attention to like their face and the eyes. So, you know, obviously we see the fear, and then we see like almost like this halo effect, but this person's being sucked into the Super Void. And we know the Palatinate conflicts with the Monoist, and the Monoist appear to be at least partially black aligned, and I assume the Palatinate's white aligned. And it's very interesting seeing like in the set like the idea of both like a bad white and a black faction like duking it out. Like it's easy to like go like, oh, it's a good white faction fighting the black, like the evil black faction, but it's like what might actually be happening, like they're both kind of like fucked up in their own ways. Interesting like lens flare, like almost like maybe we're viewing this through a camera or something, or maybe like this thing itself might be alive, that might be like an eye, but I assume it's like we're kind of looks like more of a lens flare. Obviously we see like gas and stuff being pulled like just a little bit, like everything's being pulled into here, so we can basically intuit that this person they're falling into it because everything else is getting pulled into it. Obvious black card, because you know black cards are like giving you like -2/-2. I guess it doesn't kill it. Like, I guess it doesn't kill you because like the idea is like maybe by some miracle you survive. I don't really know, but -10/-10 is gonna kill most things. It could also represent like I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a -2, like -2, like sort of like theme, like the idea of like gravity, like weakening you or holding you in place or something in this set. Obviously like black card because one, it's the Monoist, and two, like black hole, like lol. And also interesting contrast because everything else is all purple and like dark, and this guy's like wearing like gold and white, even though it's kind of like colored weirdly because like the environment they're in. Void abilities can take on many forms. On instant sorceries, Void may provide an alternative effect indicated by the word instead. Void may also provide an additional effect, adding to what a spell normally does rather than replacing it. Insatiable Skittermaw. Menace. At the beginning of your end step, insect horror, 2 generic and a black for 3 total. Void. At the beginning of your end step, if a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn, or a spell is warped this turn, put a +1/+1 count on this creature. Red's gone, and triggering it won't stop. Decrypted log 3.88. So I'm wondering if I'm supposed to take Void as being aligned with the Monoist, or like might be like on the planet the Monoist worship, the one closest to the Super Void, but I might be wrong. But because it kind of seems like it relates to the Monoist pretty well. I mean, so this creature is basically highlighted like there's a big like blue light behind it. There's a lot of like it does have like a bit of green and like brown, like more natural colors, but obviously it's like a lot of purple. It's like signified it's like black aligned. It's very scary looking because black. Like the idea is that like I don't think insects are inherently black aligned, but it's like the idea that black is using insects to its advantage. Like insects are like a common fear, so there's like a psychological component to using insects sometimes. It's also like a horror, so like you could also considering like all the like the triggering won't stop. Like obviously it's scary because it has menace. So the idea is like it's like using its fear to its advantage, but also like what it might represent is like the like people like suddenly disappearing, using that fear to its advantage to like seem more powerful, like bulk up. Like you're more scared of it because like things are like disappearing, and then this thing shows up. Obviously like this is the main character. The background, even the foreground seems kind of like less detailed, but like this seems like really well detailed and rendered. No, not that it like doesn't make like isn't jar like it makes sense. Not this doesn't like stick out. It's just like a technique you see artists use. Like they might put more detail on the main focus, etc. Insect horror is interesting. Permanents can also have void abilities. In most cases, these are triggered abilities that trigger only if the void condition is met. That is, the ability triggers only if a non-permanent left if a non-permanent has left the battlefield that turn, or if a spell is warped this turn. It doesn't matter who controls the non-permanent or who casts the spell. It doesn't matter what happened to the spell after it was cast. Hold on. So if it's any non-land permanent, so revolt is if something you controlled left. Voids if anything left, which is kind of insane, especially like a color like black, which can destroy stuff. Not all the colors don't have ways to like destroy and bounce things. Lander tokens. Encountering new plants is sometimes tricky. Are they hostile residents? A place to park? Is there air? You don't know, but once you're ready to make planetfall, a trusted lander will help you get to lay of the land. Galactic Wayfarer. So actually, we've been seeing a lot of these in green lately, which is like a sort of scout or like map maker or something that can like get to lay of the land for you to like it's like I guess the idea of like green's like focusing like understanding like the world around it as it is. So it's like this idea of like this person's like obsessed or like focused on like mapping things out for the and like understanding like the world as like it exists already. Galactic Wayfarer. When this creature enters, create a lander token. It's an artifact with two. Sacrifice this token. Search your library for a basic land card. Put it onto the battlefield tab, then shuffle. Okay, that's pretty interesting. It's kind of like a treasure-ish in that. Well, treasure's probably the wrong word. I guess it's like a fusion of like blood tokens and probably something else. But interesting way to like search for land. Obviously, it also makes artifacts, which like probably plays well into like the artifact theme the set's probably gonna have. Where like if you control a certain amount of artifacts, so you can use these to like generate artifacts and then activate certain abilities. Most of the edge cannot be measured, but some will spend their lives trying anyway. So that's pretty interesting. And this seems to be, we can assume this is like on. We can probably like assume what planet these are on. Like so it looks like planet like dominated by the Palatinate, just by virtue of. So it looks like Adagia because it has like these giant like things like harvest like resources and like profit from the wind. So it seems like the planet's not. I'm not really sure. Like, I mean, that was like the other planet was like mono blue. So I mean, we might just be seeing like other people like on the planet. Interesting. I don't think this person's a part of the Palatinate. They're probably like a wildcat or some other like smaller faction or otherwise unaligned. But these could be Palatinate chimps up there or something. Interesting, like like wind turbines. Like we know that from the lore that like Adagia had a ton of those. We have like the gold like grass or like wheat, and this person's sitting on top of it to get like a better lay of the land. I mean, again, it's like one of the things I can't see too much about, just because it's just a really competent, well done like picture that is what it sets up to do. It's just like this is a person. They're the only person here, so they're the main character. You can see their face. They're also like rising above everything. So it's sort of like this. It's almost like this position of almost like superiority, almost. Not that like I think they're ruling the land, but more almost like they have like a sort of knowledge or like authority, which is kind of representing the fact that like it helps you search for lands. Like it's sort of like they're really good at finding their way around. I'm not really sure what this is. I'm not sure this is supposed to be like a boat, like a ship or something. That's pretty interesting. And also interesting ideas for like plants. Like these are more like weird, like gelatinous growths. Um, obviously, I mean, all things considered, like we know this, like this guy's obviously colored green because they're green aligned. It seems like they're mostly green, with a bit of white. But Adagia, it seems like it's mostly like gold in color and yellow because the plant itself seems to have a strong connection to white mana. Um, once again, like it's interesting, like this person's head is like I'm not really sure if I say this guy's framing it, but like this person's head is kind of like sticking into like the blue sky, like the rest of his body for the most part is like has like stuff behind it. It's almost like they want to give you a really clear view of the face. Um, so that's pretty interesting. Interesting how like almost like low. I don't know if we're actually that low to the ground but we're low enough that like the grass is like in our eyes, and then we see this person like almost rising above the grass. It's almost like if you were walking through the grass, it'd be hard to see anything, but this person like it gives them like a sense of like, oh yeah, I know where I'm going because I can see where I'm going, almost. Um, and then we have a lander. Sacrifice this token, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, and then shuffle. So this might also represent like the terraformation of the insect people. I'm forgetting all the names for all the creature types, so forgive me. But because we know the insect people are kind of like obsessed with like terraformation, the Eumedians. So this could be like this was also like an Eumedian ship because their ships like look very organic. So in this specific card's case, it probably represents just like someone who knows their way to the land, like who can like find out, basically lead you to where you need to go to get the land and the mana in it. But it seems like generally this might represent like the Idiotians like terraforming. So they're bringing like they're changing the land and bringing like land to you, terraforming it to meet their needs. Lander token is also a new predefined token type, joining treasure, food, and a few others. Okay. And Lander token is a colorless artifact with pay two, tap, sacrifice this token. Search your library for basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. All kinds of cards will have you creating Lander tokens, and each one helps keep your mana flowing. Is that all we got? What's this? Avatar. I think I already touched on that. Witness the Majesty, borderless, sights land. Mana. This is really cool. That's I'm not sure there's like a bunch to read. That wouldn't already be stated. Okay, maybe we will read it. Obviously really interesting art. Obviously the planet's the main character. Here we have like purple for black, red, fire for like, and orange for red. Not all represented on the planet itself. Like we have blue, I suppose, green. You can maybe interpret the clouds as being like kind of white. And interesting, these like the planet's like opening up, like things like causing the ocean to like fall into like a giant hole or something. And the implication might be these might be hitting the planet. I'm not 100% sure, but obviously we have all the 5 colors more easily and better represented here: white, purple for black, green, blue, red, and then another red. So I mean, this planet looks a lot like Earth, to be honest, but this looks like a cataclysmic event because there are like plants. I don't know if there's like people on there, but there's definitely plants on there. I mean, once again, red, yellow for white. This one's like more like a dark gray for black, blue and green, and you have this like this time the mana is more like a more like cloud representation. Like you're looking up into the sky, and you're seeing like this like the mana flow around you. Interesting that like as you get higher, it gets brighter, so it's like darker down here, and your attention is like drawn higher and higher. On August 1st, we're taking you to the furthest edge of the multiverse and edge of Eternities, Magic's first space opera set. In the Sothera system, you'll meet alien factions both familiar and strange. Discover artifacts of phenomenal cosmic power and wield magic born from the crucible of a dying star. Welcome to the Edge. I'm probably gonna actually what I might do is I might wait until more cards come out, even more cards come out before I focus just on these specifically. Well, Cosmic Wave, that's kind of funny. It's had a multitudinous massacre. Have Goyce ever cared about things in exile? I thought they usually care about things in your graveyard. This one cares about things in exile, which is interesting. This creature's power is equal to the number of cards you own in exile, and softness is equal to that number plus 1. It exists to be subject to its hunger. They're one and the same. Um, yeah, Lord usually cares about stuff in your graveyard. So it's pretty interesting, I guess, because it's cosmic. That's the idea, is it cares about stuff in your exile. Uh, sorry, I'm getting distracted. I said I wouldn't focus. Like, I kind of want to wait till more come out, but just because I'm gonna want to sit down and go through all of them. It'd probably be better if I understand more of the lore anyway. Oh, they have slivers in this set. Are slivers native to Edge of Eternities? Is that where they're from? Or if any for slivers, you control double strike and haste. I'm sure that won't be annoying. At the beginning of your upkeep, create 2/1/1 colorless sliver token creature tokens. I'll never skip this rock, but I fear they will. I mean, hive mind is a common like malicious hive mind's a common like trope and sci-fi, so it makes sense that the slivers would be in this set. I love how much like this one looks like a pop star. No, like the other version of this art, it's like more like, I guess, I don't really know how to describe it. Like it's more like opera-y to me maybe, and this one's definitely more like pop star. Angel Wizard. So I'm getting way distracted. I'm kind of surprised the angels aren't like enchantments, because they usually when they have the star effect, like enchantment creatures and stuff. Like, I mean, maybe they didn't want to do too much because there are like, maybe they just want to focus on artifacts, and they thought that by putting in like, if they made them enchantment creatures, it'd be like, oh, enchantments are a thing. It'd be weird just to have it and then not focus on it. What's enchantment enters exile target? No, that was just banishing light. Pretty cool art though. Stiggy and Demon, you're sentenced to 10 cycles of illumination. May the light scour the shadows from your soul. Jesus Christ. Oh, they have charms. Arch enemies charms. Void Forge Titan. Cav Land Seeker. Interesting. Red Tiger Mech, and this feels like very like, I guess, anime coded. Not that I'm complaining. It's just the Caveron Tiger has been extinct for centuries. It's renowned. While the Caveron Tiger has been extinct for centuries, its renowned ferocity endures. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. So let's move these a little bit. Want to learn more about the ancient inhabitants? Check out the Planeswalker's Guide to Edge of Eternities. Then follow Sammy and the crew in an 11-part story. Jesus, 11 parts. Right here on Daily MTG. To capture this daily galaxy-sized story, we teamed up with Jesse Inokala to narrate the main stories and the side stories which you can listen to on the Magic Story podcast. We recently showed off the set at the Edge of Eternities debut. You can watch on Twitch or Magic, the official Magic the Gathering YouTube channel. We also received a dossier on the set from a certain Steelclad Planeswalker that we'll be sharing with you today. Here are the four most important things to know about collecting Age of Eternities. How nice. How long is this? So much stuff to read. I'm not complaining. It's more, I'm just trying to figure out what I should focus on first. What is the Majesty of Sothera, the Super Void? At the heart of the set story lies Sothera, a massive. I mean, this is pretty abstract representation, but like it makes sense. Like it's like a black void, like black hole. I think the blue is like the aether being sucked in, and then purple is like the pool of the super void, the gravity and stuff. The heart of the story lies at the heart of the story lies Sothera, a supermassive black hole whose sheer size warps the system around it, both literally and figuratively. We've captured this on the textless version of Sothera, the Super Void, with brand new Singularity foil. You can find this version of Sothera, the Super Void, only in Edge of Eternities collector boosters. This version of the card is extremely rare, appearing in a low number of collector boosters of any language and always in English. I mean, that's kind of sucks. I guess because I'm sure there's a reason. It just kind of sucks that there's not. It's only in English, because I'm sure there's people who enjoy seeing like this font and stuff in their language. Ready to go sightseeing in the stars? Stellar night sights explode. I already talked about this art across iconic and powerful lands from throughout Magic's histories and the Stellar Sights bonus sheet. Not only can these cards be found in non-foil and traditional foil, but we're bringing back a treatment from Magic's last journey into the stars, Galaxy Foil. When was Galaxy Foil a thing? Did I miss? I'm not gonna pretend like I'm like the Magic. Yeah, what is Galaxy Foil? Oh, and Infinity. Oh, that makes fucking sense. Okay. You can find a land from the Stellar Sights bonus sheet in 1 out of 8 Edge of Eternities play boosters, and out of every Edge of Eternities collector boosters, with the Galaxy Foil versions available in. I'm not really interested about like the booster like statistics. Each Stellar Sights land also has a poster Stellar Sights version found exclusively in collector boosters that lean into these stylized visions of the lands and add deep space flair to your decks. Both treatments make up the content of Stellar Sights bonus sheets, appearing in non-foil, traditional foil, and Galaxy Foil. So obviously, it's a very interesting thing happening here, where it's like in all these lands so far, we saw a couple of these on Scryfall, but in all the lands, you're clearly looking out of a window. There's a very interesting take on the land. Like you're looking out from a window instead of just being on the land or seeing it from a distance. Obviously, each one seems to be like types of faction. The Palatinate, which might imply the Palatinate might be Boros color, because Sacred Foundry, it looks like a Palatinate place. Red and white. Because Earthos just has blue. So the Palatinate maybe Boros color, which would make a lot of sense. I mean, again, like I don't have a ton to say because like it's really well done copies of piece. So obviously the frame itself is like the window, and then you have like the light, golden light. You have a lot of gold and like yellow, like lighting, just like to emphasize that it's a white alignment thing, like a white line place, but also like a bit of like red highlights, like heat. One thing that you see like the Boros have a lot, like metaphorically as a representation, is like a lot of light and heat, because it's like the idea of that white has this association with like light, and the idea of like light brings like truth. It's often associated with like goodness and like objective morality. And white cares about truth because the idea is that if you lie, one, that's a moral thing, but also lying allows you to do bad things while pretending to do good things. So often white has like emphasis on like light and like illumination and like not hiding the truth, or not wanting to hide the truth. I mean, not that it doesn't, but like not hiding the truth. And then red often has like heat, like fire, because red's all about following your heart. It's about like freedom through action. So it's all about like, fiery passion, emotion. Fire is often associated with emotion, and like like fire can be kind of spontaneous. We have some of the ships and stuff. I mean, a foundry is thinking like you make stuff, so I'm wondering if like this is where maybe like they make ships. Maybe is the idea. Is like where they make some ships, or maybe they're making something else like weapons. Earthros. So here it is from below. It's actually pretty peaceful considering how like windy and stormy like the other angles we've gotten of the planet are. Like here, like not that I expect it to be like raging or anything, because the clouds are like not like dark and stormy, but like I thought it would be more spirally. But maybe it is. Maybe we just can't see all of it because it looks like it could be spiraling, and just the center is like somewhere out of frame. But obviously, each faction is a very clear like substance and stuff that they had to make ships and buildings out of. And in the case of the people on Earthros and the squids, it is like clouds themselves. So this has like a very fuzzy like white texture, something glowing inside. I don't think it's interesting. We have seen like I think we've seen parts underwater. We haven't seen like people like we haven't seen like had a good look at what's underwater though. We do know the planet does have an ocean. There might be some sort of road or something. And here we have like our alien looking out. And once again we have a window. Thinking of the window like a different design. Like this is definitely like we did have like a character comment on one of the previous stories we read that obviously like for example the cav ships tend to be more angular and like durable. So here we don't see like as angular as the cab, but it's definitely like thicker. Like this is meant for battle, like to take a hit. And this one's definitely a lot more thinner. Like it's more artsy. It's more like flowy. It's more like to like look nice. And we can see, we can assume it's also made like the same material there because even though it's black, just because of the shadow, we do see like a bit of like maybe this is part of the building sticking out, a bit of white. I mean, mechanically also cares about artifacts because it's the Combine, and also probably because it's the artifact set. Borderless viewpoint the viewpoint lands. That's give you an EU Midian's style, big words. EU Midian's eye view of Eternities. This treatment appears on 5 shock lands and the 5 planet lands. These lands also appear at rare and mythic rare, respectively, in the main set. Non-foil and traditional foil borderless viewport lands can be found in plane boosters and collector boosters. Galaxy foil borderless viewport lands can only be found in the collector boosters. Oh, this is cute. It's like one of those like old cheesy like like sci-fi, and it's like a sliver. So it seems like slivers are here. Legendary creature sliver mutant. Oh, mutant, interesting. White, blue. It seems like it's more like green to me. It seems like, or maybe like at best like maybe vaguely turquoise. But I assume it's because like the idea is like it's like printed in the old style. So like some of the limitations maybe of like the ink. Oh, this looks like more clearly blue. Sliver Overlord. Would you like a sliver card? Reveal that card, put it into your hand. Gain control of target sliver. To pay 3. That's kind of funny. Also, for some reason, it reminds me of the Tyranids. Like, I guess if you were gonna have like your Tyranid allegory, you would pick the slivers. Like the idea of like this hive mind, like consuming everything and just moving and making more slivers as it goes. So I'd be interested to see if the slivers play a role, like the Tyranids, like the sort of like hive, just like consuming parts of the galaxy. And like we have like I don't know if these are also supposed to be slivers or just supposed to be like kind of like old timey like sci-fi like monster kind of things. But considering it's a mutant, it wouldn't surprise me if it's somehow slivers, or this was like an escape science experiment. I mean, you have the skies, interesting like old comic-y font. It's coming over the horizon, like it's just that big. It's coming over the horizon. You probably don't even see all of it. There's probably like tentacles in the background still. Oh, it's pretty interesting. I can't really identify what planet or moon this is, but it's probably not supposed to be any particular one. But that might be revealed to be wrong later. Embrace science, fantasy on special guest cards. The Age of Eternities 10 special guest cards. We're taking a page of classic science fantasy novels on a series of book cover inspired cards. These stylish cards can be found in non-foil and play boosters and traditional foil and collector boosters. There's plenty more to discover in Magic's most far out set. Join us for the complete guide to collecting Edge of Eternities and prepare for takeoff when the set arrives on August 1st. You can pre-order the set now from your local game store. Online retailers like Amazon and elsewhere Magic products are sold. Edge of Eternities detail. So obviously this is Super Void. This is some sort of eclipse. A star. I'm not really sure what that is. I guess that maybe this is a planet. Or something around a planet. Like a sun. My first assumption is a sun, like it's a planet. I mean, like a planet, like a ring. But I'm not really sure what the rest of this would be. Maybe it's like a shield. Edge of Eternity set code EOE. Edge of Eternity's Commander set code EOC. Star Sites set code EOS. Special guest set code SPG. And legality, MSRPs, important dates. Magic Academy. Release dates on July. Oh shit, it's on July. Dude, I gotta grind Arena so I can have enough. I'd love to be able to like stream like playing on Arena or something. Incoming transmission, pre-order Edge of Eternities. Yeah, we're not gonna worry about too much about that. But look, Singularity Rapture. So blue black, obviously. Holy shit, these are just like some cool ass designs. But obviously, so we know Super Void is a singularity. It doesn't seem like all singularities in this plane are all black holes. Like a black hole is a singularity. But as far as Edge of Eternity is concerned, not all singularities are black holes. So there's like a squares and rectangles things, like all squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares. On this plane, all black holes would be singularities, but not all singularities are black holes. So obviously, for 6 mana, 3 generic, 1 blue, and 2 black, you destroy all creatures. Then any number of target players each mill half the library rounded down. Rejoice, for within set card the final sacrifice, you will refine passage to the next eternity. Kalnin Monos Assassin. I don't know if we've seen that person before, but no, that's Aphriel. But it is interesting because it seems like the Palisade might be white red and the Smonowis blue black, but I can't tell if that's just like some outlier cards. So that does happen sometimes. Like there are like, for example, like blue black vampires in Innistrad, but that's not like most vampires. Most vampires are like red black, sometimes white these days. So here we have this person. These people. We also have someone in the background getting sucked in, I think. So this person. So we have these people getting sucked in. Obviously, like a lot of blue. Like usually this is like to represent Aether, but it seems like this bright vivid blue is like to represent like the blue mana, and then we have like purple to represent black. And it's these poor people getting sucked in, and obviously everything points to like this singularity. Like everything's being sucked in and stretched and like warped and ripped apart, and they're all just heading in this direction. So you immediately this immediately draws your attention, and you immediately know, holy shit, this is like the center of the story almost. And not to mention that these people don't have faces. So like neither of these people are like the main character. The main character is like the Super Void, and maybe this guy, yeah, you can see his face, but he's so far away, it's hard to make anything out. And obviously it's sort of represented like it sort of like just sucks in like your like people like it sucks in everything. So like it destroys creatures that are all getting sucked into the Super Void, and then any number of target players like they have their library like basically sucked away and lost into the graveyard. And obviously it seems to have something to do with the Monolith Cult and their like use of gravity magic and like worshipping singularities. Prepare for your journey to the first reaches of the multiverse by pre-ordering Edge of Eternities. The set's full suite of projects is available for pre-order now from your local game store. Online retailers like Amazon and elsewhere, Magic products are sold. Additionally, players who pre-order an Edge of Eternities play booster box or collector booster box from the local game store will receive a traditional foil Singularity Rupture buy a box promo with extended art. That's pretty cool. So I mean, I think we already talked about. I think we were talking about Tezzeret. We talked about a Tezzeret. I'm not sure about this card specifically. So very interesting. Obviously, in a position of power, like he's on a throne, a golden throne. Like they really want to like sell his ideas as powerful. Like he's got like his dark steel body. There's something like flowing inside of him. I don't think this is like Halo. I think Halo's like usually brighter, but it's definitely blue black. So he might have a strong connection to blue black mana. It makes you wonder if he's like teamed up with the Monoist in any way because he has like this black hole. And obviously there is like, you notice that gets like really bright around his head. Like it's bright in a couple areas, but as you get up to his head, it gets like really bright, like almost like to draw your attention to like his head. This thing I was talking about in like one of my articles that I need to turn into a video is that like Planeswalkers have a habit of sticking out of like the card, like the card they're in. Like most cards, like if you look at a card, like look at Cosmic Wave. Like Cosmic Wave just stays within the frame of the card. Planeswalkers like stick out, which represents like their ability to planeswalk and almost like basically leave the image almost at any time. Like they have a level of freedom that other cards do not. Like, you know, biotech. I'm talking about like the default magic cards too, not just like special like promo ones, but like biotech specialists here. If they want, they could easily just have like an antenna sticking out or something, but they don't because it's not a planeswalker and it doesn't have the ability to like planeswalk and leave in the same way that like an entity like Tezzeret can. And then obviously like there's a lot of blue and black, which points to Tezzeret's like previous alignment, like I mean blue and purple, which again once again might be pointing to he's somehow teaming with the Monoist, but it points to his previous alignments because Tezzeret has been like blue black in the past, but obviously like more gray. Like he's like colorless now, so like a lot more gray and like silver. Whenever an artifact can control interest, put a loyalty counter. Tezzeret's always cared about artifacts. The more artifacts you have, the more he wants to stick around. Basically, I think people take loyalty counters like too literally sometimes. Like they assume when a planeswalker quote unquote goes to the graveyard, they're dying. I don't think it's what's actually happening. They're called loyalty counters and not health counters thing for a reason. They're called loyalty counters. It's basically like how much your planeswalker is willing to stick around and help you, and how much, and these are like how much what your planeswalker is willing to do for you before like they bounce. So like if you bring an artifact, it's like ooh, an artifact can be analyzed. So he gains loyalty counter because he wants to stick around a bit more, see what's up, right? And then he's like, and then but if you like if you have like for example 3 loyalty and then negative 3, he's like, all right, I've done enough for you. Here I've done my favors. I'm fucking out of here. So because people are asking like, oh, how do you like when you're like playing Magic the Gathering, how do you like flavorfully explain like that you beat Ugin or something? Like, well, it's not that you necessarily beat Ugin. It's just that Ugin has loyalty counters and he's like only willing to go so far to help you. Where he's like, all right, I got better shit to be doing, right? For whatever reason, or maybe they start to like start not trusting you as much. So I think what this represents like whenever an artifact enters Tezzeret, it's like ooh, artifact. He wants to stick around a bit longer. Untap, he's willing to do more favors so you can see the artifact. Untap target artifact or creature. It's an artifact creature. If it's an artifact creature, put a +1/+1 counter on it. So obviously he can upgrade artifacts or untap them so you can use them more. Search your library for an artifact card with mana value 1 or less. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. He can look for artifacts. Obviously, I think it being 1 mana is mostly just for balance reasons. You get an emblem at the beginning of your combat each turn. Put 3 +1 counters on target artifact you control. If it's not a creature, it becomes a 0/0. It's not a creature, becomes a 0/0 robot artifact creature. So basically, you can turn things into robots. Like yeah. But interesting. And obviously, it's kind of like X of the frame. Like this draws your attention here. Like it's almost like a Halo, vaguely like a Halo effect behind him. And then you have like just like the void space, and then like a black hole here. And then Cosmic Wave, like once again, made of gaseous like celestial stuff. Obviously green because green alignment. It's a black and a green. Also a lot of purple, like a ton of purple. So let you know that's like a green black, like it's a green black creature. It itself looks like it's almost like non-physical, like it's like a bunch of like stardust and shit. This creature's power is equal to the number of cards you own in exile, and its toughness is equal to that number +1. So alert, Cosmic Wave, recognition, run. PSS, Eric's shipboard computer, final transmission. I mean, it's pretty interesting because I don't think we got Lurgo with that cares about exiling, but it makes sense. I guess the idea is that it's like an elemental Lurgo Wave, so it's like it's eating it like goes beyond caring about the graveyard. It's like cares about like stuff like getting sent into like the void of space. The precipice of the unreal is an artifact, is this powerful artifact into with the Hearth Sothera. As it shapes the multiverse around it, we've captured these transcendental styles of the Edge of Eternity, of the styles of the Edge across the booster fun treatments of Edge of Eternities. Textless Sothera, the super void and singularity foil. I mean, I get not much to say. It's the black hole, so, and we see like everything getting sucked into it. Like some of the things, like There's an interesting effect where it's like they're not going like directly into it, but they're kind of like orbiting around it before they get pulled into the gravity. So a lot of black and blue, and purple. So there's a black hole. So this they call it a black hole here. I thought it was a super. I thought super voids were different from black holes, but maybe super void's a type of black hole. It kind of seems like it's a super void on its way to becoming a black hole. And that's what people want it to turn into. Yeah, so super voids are not black holes. Although I guess you could, not that like, I guess you could refer to one as one if you want to. You just wouldn't be like perfectly correct. Is a black hole so powerful that it consumes the very rules text of this card? We're excited to show off this set's headliner card, a textless version of Sothera, the super void in brand new singularity foil. Your opponents will learn the power of Sothera when you cast this card with stunning artwork by Micah Hugen. The singularity foil effect was crafted specifically for this set, and it's something that needs to be seen to be believed. Check it out. You can find this version of Sothera, the super void, only in Edge of Eternities collector boosters. This version of the card is extremely rare, appearing in a low number of collector boosters of any language and always in English. It's the perfect centerpiece for your Edge of Eternities collection. So this looks like Gemstone Caverns. Legendary land. It seems like whatever. Like I don't know if this is supposed to be like the canon, like right system they're using in the universe of like the Edge, or if it's just like a stylized effect. Legendary card. If this card is in your opening hand, you're not the starting player. You may begin the game with Gemstone Caverns on the battlefield with a luck counter on it. If you do, exile a card from your hand. So it seems like a trade-off. Like obviously, if you're a second player, usually in most card games, if you're going second, you're at a disadvantage. So it seems like it kind of makes up for it. But at the same time, you're sacrificing like a card in your hand. Add a colorless. If Gemstone Caverns has a luck counter on it, instead add one mana of any color. So yeah, unless you have a way to create more counters, you just like a one-time like add a mana. Very interesting like art. Once again, big planet, a lot of silver and gray, like convey as colorless. But once you get like closer, it's like these beautiful blue gemstones, and then like purple, and then like white. And then we have like a asteroid belt. Once again, not a ton to say. It's just kind of like the planet's like the main focus. You have like a beautifully rendered space like around it. Like this planet, I wouldn't be surprised if this asteroid belt was like made up of bits of the planet. I guess the idea is like maybe the core is like full of mana or something, which you're using to harvest. Mutavault. So here's interesting art where like something's like in the thing, like in these crystals, and I guess the idea is that when it becomes a strategic creature, it like crawls out and then it gets frozen back in like what I assume is ice and floating in space. And also interesting that we have a ship like flying by, like it's out of frame, like to show like, so she can like give it like a little flare. Once again, not too much to say. Like it's ice, so it's like bright blue, not as deep blue as they usually use for blue, like the mana color, but light blue, so you know it's ice, and then like purple and black in the background. Super void might be over here somewhere. The whole multiverse of beautiful vistas to see. Sometimes you just have to take it all in. Hold on, I need to drink some water. My throat's about to die. Stellar site lands give you a scenic perspective of some of Magic's most famous lands. There are 45 different stellar sites lands from the stellar sites bonus sheet, and consisting of 30 rares and 15 mythic rares. Each artwork depicting a plant in the Sothera system. You can find a land from the stellar sites bonus sheet in our one out of 8 play boosters, and each collector booster contains one land from the stellar sites bonus sheet. These lands can appear in non-foil or traditional foil in both play boosters and collector boosters. If you're looking for a bit more sparkle in your lands, you can open a Galaxy foil copies of these lands only in collector boosters. So, Gemstone Caverns. Okay, this is the same card we saw earlier, but just like, you know, a lot of, there's like crystals. I mean, but very stylized. Definitely like resembles almost like those old, like those like a specific look for like travel, like travel ads. Like come see the wonderful like Gemstone Caverns, fly around, you know. Purple, blue, etc. And then Mutavault again. Looks like one of those like travel posters. Like come see the beautiful Mutavault. Although there's some other texts on Mutavaults, I don't really know. Like we don't really see like what creature is spawning to like from or it's turning into. But really nice art. For the players who want even more style in their lands, poster stellar site lands are the pinnacle of galactic grammar. All 45 star site lands have a poster stellar size version, complete with travel inspired artwork. These appear in 33.3% of collector box boosters. It can be found in non-foil, traditional foil, or even galaxy foil. There's one thing you won't see on these lands. There's one site you won't see on these lands. Stellar Site lands do not have the AOS expansion symbol. However, you will see the symbol on MTG Arena while sorting through your correct collection. Additionally, these cards have the AOS expansion code at the bottom of the card. This is something we're continuing to experiment with. So you may see some future cards that share a set code but don't have an expansion symbol on the card. Man, it's kind of weird. Pretty sure we've already talked about this art, these planets. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we've already talked about these. We'll skip over these for now. If you want to, like, I'm on a previous video, I mean, not here. Age of Eternities, we're bringing back space-centric style to every card in the set, including the basic lands. These borderless space celestial basic lands depict plants that embody the natural manifestations of their color of mana, which is a fancy way of saying they look very cool. Yeah, but also, like, I guess if you're a Orthos like me or Mel, then you probably care more. You can find non-foil borderless celestial basic lands and play boosters. You can also find traditional foil galaxy foil versions of these cards and collector boosters. For among all the amazing lands in Edge of Eternities, 2 cycles stand out: the 5 rare shock lands and 5 mythic rare legendary planes. So we're not getting like all 10 shock lands; we're getting 5 of them. So this set, like, what major colors? What colors are the major factors of the set? Planet lands are poised to make their mark on standard, but we're capturing their majesty on borderless viewport lands. Yeah. You can find non-foil and traditional foil borderless viewport lands and play boosters and collector boosters. Blah blah blah. So once again, this was kind of like make a travel guide. I don't know, almost. But I mean, there's some interesting like ship flying behind there, and there's like some sort of planetary body or moon. This person's obviously the main character, the elegy acolyte. So you can actually see their face as their armor comes off. It's an interesting representation of the armor. Kind of seems like it's not like a giant suit like you put on like piece by piece, but like almost like forms around you from magic or something. Elegy acolyte. 2 generic, 2 blacks for 4 total. Lifelink. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal the common damage to a player, you draw a card and lose 1 life. So this is interesting because it has lifelink. So I guess the idea is that if this gets in and gets a hit, you heal 4 and you lose 1. So kind of like bounces out a bit. But obviously, if you can't attack with this creature or you don't have enough creatures, you're just gonna have to hit and then you don't get your life back. Void, obviously, and this obviously also encourages you to say, hey, I'm an aggressive creature. I may be a 4/4, but you want me to get me to swing so I can lifelink and then also draw you a card. Like, the other creatures obviously can attack, but if they don't also have lifelink, then it may not be as effective. Void, at the beginning of your end step, if an online permanent left the battlefield this turn or a spell is warped this turn, create a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token. So once again, caring about artifacts. The heroes and villains of Edge of Eternities are larger than life figures, and we're capturing their grand ways. Also, I'm not talking about this because I already touched on this before. But interesting that they both have like a similar background. But anyway, the grand ways presence on borderless triumphant cards. These depict the central figure framed by one of Sothera's moons. There are 12 rare creatures, 3 mythic rare creatures, and 1 mythic rare planeswalker. Tezzeret, Cruel Captain. God forbid a man that hobbies. Within borderless triumphant cards. Blah blah blah. So Nova Hellkite. So this is very interesting because Nova Hellkite was clearly in some of the art like just like made of like space like dust and shit. This one's like less clear that it. I mean, you can still kind of tell because it's like breaking apart. Like, it's really not like a completely physical like thing, but it's more like, almost like a solid like entity. Although it's probably just stylization of the art. Also those hands, bro. I'm not 100% sure what's going on in this art. Not like in a bad way. Just like there's like a giant eye of a planet, and it's just eating it. But also has warp, which is interesting. Flicker through the space. So also, it seems like warp is also been given to creatures that like are like made of space gas and stuff, like the angels and the spacecraft. Well, I mean, spacecrafts are like see look like they're like made of like space dust, and then you have a spacecraft, and then so I'm wondering if that's like instead of making them all enchantment creatures, like the ones that look kind of like space dust and stuff have like warp and stuff, or the potential to have it. Interesting that like we have a Nova Hellkite. It looks like eating almost like a star, but like it's like the eye of something. I'm not sure what to say here. I mean, it's using red and orange a lot because it's a red card. And this thought this was its tail, but I'm not 100% sure anymore. This might be like a different entity. And there's a planet behind said entity, and then this is coming in and eating something from that entity. Sever Symbiosis. This looks like one of our insect buddies, our Eumedians. Whenever you put one or more 1+1/+1 counters on a creature you control, you may draw that many cards. Do this only once each turn. So yeah, I mean, classic green cares about drawing cards and creatures. Advancement is found, or drawing cards through creatures specifically. Advancement is found in the collision of chaos and order. So this looks like one of the insect guys, but the person in the background looks like a human or something, and not an insect. So not 100% sure what's going on here, but if it says chaos and order, so it seems like there might be like some sort of like weird thing happening where like they're somehow communicating. This is very interesting because it looks like almost like it could be like a part of the helmet. Like this almost could be like an earpiece sort of that goes like up, and then this is like part of the helmet, but like the person themselves is like kind of in the background, or it could be something inside them that they're hearing, etc., etc. Obviously green because they want to let you know it's a green card. Everything else is kind of like purple, space, and then a little bit of red. Some of the stranger aspects have powerful effects on the mind of those around them. So these represent like sort of like distorted like minds, or like what we're seeing. We're depicting these war perspectives on borderless surreal space cards. Yeah, surreal's definitely one way to put it. Quantum Riddler. Okay, well, I mean, they look sick, but we'll talk about them later some other time. What do I mean this, Batman? What is 3 generic, 2 blue, and has flying, and is a Sphinx? There are 11 rare and 3 mythic rare surreal space cards, each with a trippy mind warping style. So maybe you can interpret this also as like maybe like going through what you see if you're going through the web or something. But borderless, did we not already? Is this repeating? I feel like we just read about this. Okay, here's some new stuff. Outsworld Japan showcase cards. So Eldrazi, Anti-Causal Visage. When this creature leaves the battlefield, draw a card. Then you may put a permanent card with mana value less than or equal to the number of lands you control from your hand onto the battlefield with tap. So, I mean, Eldrazi tend to care about big creatures. So I guess the idea is this also you play like a bigger Eldrazi. What's interesting here is like the way it's moving. Like, I don't know if this represents like it's speeding into position, or if it's the idea is like, oh, it's almost like activating in reverse. So like, because like time might be getting a little bit bendy. This look like more like the standard Eldrazi. Like they have like this sort of like Rudy. Some of them have like this sort of Rudy like effect. Anti-cause, I guess, I don't know. I guess the idea is like when it leaves, it like kind of undo like lets something else come to take its place. I don't have a ton to say. It's like it's I got a ship out there, which is probably seeing some wild shit right now. Japan Showcase images the 10 cards from Edge of Eternities, complete with a special frame that pays homage to the style of Japanese hobby shops. When commissioning these cards, we encourage artists to lean into the classic style of science fantasy, manga, and anime imagery, and they certainly delivered. So, Super Void, obviously, it's some sort of like singularity. Everything's being pulled towards it. Even space and time is warping around it, as you do when you're near a black hole. Hopefully, these guys are okay. And then we have this planet being like sucked in. It's blue because like the Aether, I assume, and then black, and I'm purple. And whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent chooses a creature they control and exiles it. So the idea is like whenever a creature dies, it gets sacrificed or sucked into the Super Void. At the beginning of your end step, if a player controls no creature, sacrifice it there, and then pull a creature with it onto the battlefield under your control, 2 additional +1/+1 counters onto it. So I don't know if this means like the Void's alive or anything, but like when it doesn't have anything else to suck, it kind of just dies and peters out. Which in reality wouldn't really happen because it's just constantly absorbing matter, but I think that's the idea. Besides balance, anyway. These cards are going to look some Eternity Elevator. So here we have a space elevator that takes you like off the planet below. This looks like it's maybe Cav, given how torn up it looks. And then obviously it's colors. I mean, it is like white, but it's also kind of like it's like it definitely looks more colorless. Like it's more at least more towards gray or silvery white than it does like yellow white. The white like actual like white man likes to use. It's like Cav or something. And then this is maybe cat like the little wall keep protecting them from the planets flying around them. Station because you can put people on it. I'd expand of any color where extend and recharge counters on the Eternity Elevator. So it actually has like a lot of mana. It takes 20 to activate, So if you get this off even once, you have like 20 mana at your disposal, which is kind of insane. If you have like any cards in your hand, you can basically play almost whatever. I mean, just got a clear look of everything. You'll find extended art versions of these cards from Edge of Eternities and Edge of Eternities Commander, and also like obviously like there's not like a single main character besides the station itself. Like you don't see any people. They could be in the pod, but obviously the point is that you're looking at the elevator. And this thing it's like at an angle, like it's not going straight down. It's like at a more dynamic angle. I guess like maybe it adds mana because like the idea is like it's connected to like the land. But I don't really care about like the percentages here. Commander decks, bundles, Emissary Escort. I think that's a new card we haven't seen. Whoops, I don't want to save you. You do look like good art though. This one new? Is that what we saw earlier? I don't really look at the Final Fantasy because I don't know enough about Final Fantasy really. Like if someone wants to talk about Final Fantasy, I urge them to do it, but I don't know enough about it to like do it justice. Try to talk about it. Well, except for this one, I do know the train meme, the guy suplexing the train, because it's like I can't believe they actually put this one in. The time is going to put my train to use. Finally, choose one. Suplex deals 3 damage to a target creature. If that creature would die this turn, exile said exile target artifact. So the idea is that it can be used on creatures or it can destroy a train, which is kind of like the joke. Emissary Escort. Obviously, the robot itself is like white, so the robot kind of gives like colors coding, but at the same time, has like a big blue shield. It's clearly, I think it might be on Earthros, I assume. I don't know. It doesn't really look like at least like it made of clouds, though. It's kind of hard to tell because the background's way simplified. Emissary mechans are often assigned their own security detail, given their importance in their interpolitical dialogues. This creature gets X plus 1, X plus 0. X is the greatest mana value among artifacts you control. So the more artifacts you have to defend, the better it is. The more it wants to defend them, so it gets more powerful. I mean, it's a robot. I don't know what you want from me. I mean, it's kind of, I guess, like this is sort of like draw the attention a bit. It's almost like a bit of a frame behind like what might be the head. And the glowing blue shield. It's kind of funny though because like you would think that thing's so like, I mean, it has a spear. Don't get me wrong, but like you would think that like, oh, it's got a big blue shield. Clearly, its toughness gets bigger because blue cares about toughness a lot and it wants to protect it. Like, no, it just wants to kill shit easier, or not kill it maybe, but like apprehend it, be more proactive about it. Do we just watch the? Do I just watch the Eternities? Okay, I think that's. Oh yeah, Commander. Special fantasy spectacular. I just want to see like some of the cards here. So because spacecrafts can be commanders, these are basically alternate commanders. Like how commander sets usually work is when Wizards designs them, usually like a what's called a backup commander. So if like you see this commander, you're like, oh wait, here I can be able to deck around this guy, or I can switch this guy out for the other commander and play like slightly differently. So Earthworld, the World Seed. I don't know if this is supposed to be like the original World Seed or what, but legendary artifacts, spacecraft for 1 generic, 1 black, 1 red, 1 green for 4 mana total. Station, 1 generic, tap, sacrifice a land, draw 2 cards. You may play an additional land this turn. So yeah, and then flying vigilance haste. Then becomes a creature when it gets 8+. Whenever you sacrifice a land, each opponent loses 2 life. This is kind of interesting. Like I'm not sure how many sacrificing land decks we have. I don't have no play enough commander to say, even though I like it. But interesting, it doesn't start off with a creature. So like sacrifice. So it's pretty obviously that a green cares about lands, so the green comes in. Then it gets haste like from red, and then black and red, and just like in general, like black, red, green, this color combo cares a lot about sacrificing stuff. Because all of these colors like sacrifice things a lot. Like green, okay, I wouldn't say a lot, but green does sacrifice creatures sometimes, and then black sacrifices things a lot, and red sacrifices things a lot. So the idea is like you can sacrifice things for to draw something or to gain something, and it also gets like haste from red, vigilance from green, and then flying from black probably because black flies the most out of all those colors. You can sacrifice it to make each opponent lose 2 life, which is a very like black thing. Once again, main character is like kind of almost has like a face. I can't really tell. I don't think it's supposed to be a face, but obviously a very organic looking ship. It's almost like it looks like a helicopter leaf, like those like, helicopter seeds, like raining down the planet. Um, and it's like raining down like pods to like terraform it. And here we have like the strip. Like we know that not the entire planet's green, just like a strip that they're working on terraforming, and they're trying to expand it outwards. So everything else is like frozen ice, and then there's like a strip of like terraformed like land here. Obviously they're pointing towards the planet, so you can tell they're all like getting ready to go down to the planet. The background's like obviously very purpley, like it's like space. So the background could be referenced to both like the black mana, like it's a lot of purple. But like this thing is also green. I'm not seeing a lot of red here, honestly, for a red for this card that includes red, but you know, you can't always get them all in because it does become a lot. Here we have the moon, another moon, like the thrusters and stuff. Here we have Cesaro just separate. So this card is like a bit more red or like warmer tones, like in the eye and stuff. Obviously purple for the black, and then green for the green, and then like even the staff might be like just dark black or like really dark green. Obviously like the main character here, we clearly see his face. There's like someone in the background, but this is clearly like the important person. And here, the way they're moving, it's almost like they're almost like controlling. Like so, you have their hand coming out, and this like comes around the planet and like moves in like motion, like the way their hands pointing. So almost like gives like the impression that they're almost like controlling this directly, like where they say to go, this thing is going. Like it's a nice like way to like sort of connect them or make like a parallel. So sort of like you can imagine them like sweeping their arm forward, and then this way almost like following like this following. Like they're like, oh, here's what we're gonna like terraform, and then everyone's like, you got a boss, and then it kind of moves in the same way. Interesting machinery on them and stuff. There's your creature insect druid flying. You may play lands from your graveyard, so a combination like green and black, I think. Whenever you sacrifice another non-token permanent during your turn, put a number of +1/+1 counters equal to Cesaro's power on up to one other target creature. So I mean, that's kind of just like John caring about sacrifice, but flavor-wise, I guess you could maybe interpret it as like sort of like, oh, you basically use like you're using like the resources that you're available to like give more life to something else, almost like a food chain. Like I'm using like if something dies, we can use it to like terraform to help with the terraformation process. And once again, we do have like the clear like the plant, like this is like all like a frozen wasteland mostly, and then we have like this. It's even more lush than it was in the previous art. Like this art, if I were to set like a timeline, this art looks like this looks like it becomes before. This looks like it comes like before this one. Like it's like once they come out and start like helping around, like things are growing way quicker and way more lush than it was here. So that's interesting too. Counterintelligence, blue, red, white. I've been wanting to make a Jeskai deck, so we'll see how interesting this is. Kind of restricted. Oh, I'm sure. It's Spirit Flagship Vessel. Legendary artifact spacecraft station. At the beginning of your combat on your turn, put your choice of a +1/+1 counter or 2 charge counters on up to 1 target artifact. So obviously, because it seems like it might be being crewed by Kylo maybe, but obviously cares about artifacts, full of artifact creatures, so it cares about artifact creatures. We have ships like leaving, going to and from, like the ship, because like the flagship vessel. Obviously, the ship's main character. You don't really see anyone. And here we have like this giant planet in the background. It's probably the Super Voider. Maybe it looks kind of like a Super Voider to me, but it might be something else. And then once you get reaches 8 charge counters, flying, other artifacts control of hexproof and indestructible. That's kind of insane. But I guess it itself doesn't have indestructible and hexproof. So there's still a counterplay. It's just interesting. So artifact Jeskai deck. So I mean, blue, red, and white are probably the cards that care the most about artifacts generally. With blue, it's the idea of like using the artificial to like perfect yourself and like make the world a better place. It's like the idea of like artifice. I can change the world around me. And then with like red, it's usually like artifacts usually care about as a sort of like expression, as like making art and stuff, like expression of the self. And then white. I'm not really sure why white cares about artifacts. I mean, I'm not saying it shouldn't. It's just like I'm not sure it's as strong of a flavor region other than the fact that artifacts can be used to help people, I suppose, and like enact like laws and stuff. Obviously, I think in this case, the white probably comes from the idea because it's called apogee mind. So I think it comes from the idea like maybe these robots in the ship, they're all connected somehow. There's like the idea of like focusing on the greater good over like the individual. So you have like blue's like idea for improvement, and then red like almost like a self-expression personality, because not we know not in this universe not every robot has a personality. So the idea might be here be like, okay, so this robot wants to make things like improve things, like because it is like a machine, so it wants to improve things and make things better, but also it's like self-expression and individuality matters to it a lot, because so it ends up red and then white because it's like a part of like potentially part of like some sort of hive mind, or like at least connected directly to like the ship and maybe a bunch of other robots. I didn't really talk about this. Hold on, I'll talk about this. I'll talk about the other alignments later. Kilo apogee mine. I'm gonna look up what apogee means because I'm just curious. The highest point of development is something climax or a culmination. So the climax of the mine. And obviously the main character. It's kind of hard to pick out a face because not that I want there to be a face, just because it's a cool robot. Not every robot needs like a human face, but I assume it's this part. And then interesting, like how despite the fact that it's like Jeskai, we only see like white and blue mostly in his car. I mean, actually, no, there's a red down here, just below, just on the ground. So yeah, blue right here, red here, then white on the body. So interesting. It has haste, which comes from red. Whenever Kilo becomes tapped, proliferate. I think blue can proliferate a bit because like it's about the idea of like generating more counters, like improving what's already there. Choosing any number of permanents and or players and give them each another counter of each kind already, both sculpted and sculpted. So this is what I was talking about when red like has a connection to like art. So the idea is that this robot was created and then it itself is sort of like has a red artist bent, where it's sort of like self-expression using like its emotion to perform like actions, etc. But then and it might also represent sort of like an emphasis on like free will, like red heavily like emphasizes like freedom and doing what you want. And so does blue to an extent. Blue also has like this idea of like tabula rasa, like you can become what you want to do. So it also has like this bent of free will, even though the blue and red can often approach it differently. And then the blue could also represent like a sort of idea of like perfection, like both sculptor and sculptor, like they themselves are a sort of an artist. So sort of like red, I create like with my emotions, but blue, I also want to like perfect this thing, and I also want to perfect myself as a robot. And then white, again, probably might represent some sort of connection it has to like what it creates and caring about others or like putting others first. I'm not 100% sure, but pretty cool either way. I didn't really talk about the potential color alignments here. So see Genesis. I know I mentioned earlier the green. I think the green and red probably comes from like a very like it's like instinctual idea. Like this is a very interesting take on like a green faction of like terraformation and what it might represent. This idea of like might represent sort of like, you know, they're like what they're doing what's coming naturally to them, which is like terraforming, and this idea of like working. And I think they have a different idea of terraformation that most people have, because terraformation we usually think is a very artificial process, but in their minds it might be sort of like we're working with the planet. We're not trying to like take over the planet. We're like helping this planet grow. We're helping it reach its like, you know, we're helping like kind of like cultivate it a bit. The red might be like, again, it might be sort of like instinct, like they're, because we know that these insects seem like, most of them seem like very instinctual like beings, like they all have like this drive to terraform, because they're all made for that purpose. So that the red and green might represent like a sort of gruel, like sort of instinctual, like we follow our nature and we also want to like cultivate nature and what's already there. And black could represent maybe sort of like we'll do whatever it takes to get that, or like, or either that or sort of like this idea of like the life cycle, like life and death, along with green, where it's like sometimes like, you know, things gotta die for like the sake of like the greater cycle almost. So like, because like, oh yeah, you died, but that's just like part of the cycle almost, and we can add you to like the terraformation process. Or it could represent like we'll do whatever it takes to terraform. We're kind of like almost like eco terrorists. Yeah, I don't think these are eco terrorists, but kind of like in that vibe, where like, we're gonna like help this prosper no matter, like almost no matter what it takes, no matter the sacrifice. And then this probably about the same thing, like this idea of like, you know, instinct, but maybe also like being willing to like take out what's already there, do what it takes to like terraform it. Okay, I'm probably gonna watch the video and then talk about it, and then light sick fools, all sons of a T. Light sick fools is kind of like a funny insult. So I think I'm gonna watch the official trailer. I'm not sure I'm gonna watch the debut today. I probably will. I think I'm gonna read the story first. But first, we'll watch the Edge of Eternities official trailer.
Some think there's nothing beyond what is known. But I came from nothing. I took the opportunity to forge my own destiny. I will make the stars tell me their secrets and bring these planets to their knees when I know everything. All the power in creation will be within my grasp.
I do love a lot of the magic entries. I don't love all of them, but some I just love like the voice acting is beautiful. I love how like kind of like like straight to the point they are, but like they do it so well. Like you look at this and you're like, oh, shit is going fucking down. So let's talk about this for a second. So first, obviously, we have the logo. It's coming over the planet, like a horizon, like almost like either you're orbiting it or like almost like a star or like a sun, like or any other celestial bodies. You come over the planet. This planet's curved, obviously, so interesting use of perspective there. Like even like the logo. Here we have Tezzeret floating in space. I don't know if we'll see. I know we saw some of the art directly from like the cards animated, but I'm not sure if we'll see like art of this. So I don't really know what's happening in the story completely with Tezzeret right now, but it's interesting that he starts off like floating in the void of space, like seemingly ejected somewhere. You would assume dead, but he's not dead because he's like mostly metal.
Some think there's nothing.
So I don't know if this is a specific planet. I don't know if that's supposed to be a planet or the super void from a distance. I want to say this was kind of like the green planet, but I might be wrong. Because this could just be like a nebula and then something in the distance and like the super void or something. Interesting that he says come from nothing, because if this is the super void, then it's like the idea of like the black hole of nothingness, like sucking things in.
There's nothing.
But he
beyond what is known. But I came from nothing.
But he came from nothing, which is sort of like a bit of wordplay, because Tezzeret came from like a very lower class. From on Esper, he was very low class. So he came from nothing could be the idea of. There's a couple different ways you take it. One is he came from nothing in the sense that he was like a very low class person in Esper, i.e., he was nothing. No one ever thought much of him. Two, he says that like people think that beyond what is known there is nothing, which is probably referring to the Chaos Wall. But before the Omen Pass opened up, a lot of people just assumed there was nothing beyond like their plane. They thought their plane was just the end of the universe. So this could be the idea that like he's saying I've come from nothing in the sense that I'm a planeswalker who's come from outside of like their universe. I come from a different universe, and then also there maybe something with the super void, like being pulled in. And obviously Tezzeret has obviously like always had like a huge like connection to like wanting to know stuff and like knowledge, and like it's kind of represented as blue identity and also like a bit of his black, like willing to do what it takes to get like understand and know stuff.
But I came from nothing.
So he's also drifting in the nothingness of space, but he's not dead because he's mostly like a metal body. It's interesting here because maybe I did a bad job explaining Tezzeret's powers. Honestly, I don't remember them completely myself, but I'm pretty sure his powers are more like specifically metal. He's also just really good with machines. So here's what he's doing. I'm pretty sure this is like some sort of metal object. He's
the opportunity to
and that could be also represent what's on his card, like or whatever his card concern, like artifacts and the creatures. Like he's animating them with his metal powers.
my own destiny.
And here once again, purple, blue. Tezzeret has like a lot of purple and blue because it seems like even though he's no longer has like a blue, like a Dimir alignment, he's still got a lot of like the blue and black mana to him. Here's a super void. So I guess the thing we saw earlier was not the super void, it was something else. But interesting that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these. It could be that each one has a color to them. I don't know. I gotta read up the story to figure out exactly what these are supposed to be. I assume they're like drones or something to like scout out information, because we know there's 5 planets. So there's probably sending one to each planet to go look for stuff. and here is the super void. We know the monolith's like hearing something in the super void, so he might also be hearing that. And it seems like he might also have some relations. Like, I'm not sure if it's like a new power set, but he's definitely using like a lot of the black hole imagery that the monoliths also seem to use. Here we have like the planets. Here's Cav, the red planet, being shit on.
Tell me their secrets.
The white line planet. I don't remember all the names. Sorry, the green line planet. Once again, here we definitely get a good look of how it's like greener on the equator, and then everything else is like frozen and iced over.
Bring these planets to their knees.
It's interesting seeing the anime, like they're all swirling. So it's interesting. We go through each planet one by one, but once he gets to Earthros, he, instead of zooming away to the next planet, he actually zooms in, and we see like what I assume is like the ocean spiraling. But it could be also be clouds, but it's a deeper layer. And then we see this building, and we zoom in even further, and we get like I think this is like the stone the monoliths are trying to use to like turn the to finish the the transformation process of the super void into like a true like black hole. So we get into it based on what's happening. Is that he's making like these little drones. He sends them out, and once he sends them out, they start feedback. They start giving him feedback about what's happening, what they're seeing. So we have one on Cav, one on the white line planet, one on green. One is on Earthros, and one is like, holy shit, there's something here. And then he sees it transmitting information. And obviously, it has like kind of like a similar, like almost like black hole super void effect, where it's like a ring of like light and like matter. So it seems like it points to like a relation between them. This also point. Sorry, this is starting to make his head look really big. This could also point to the idea that maybe well, the secret project at Earthos' core, what Earthos is working on actually is actually the stone project. They're like messing with the stone. So he's locked in. He found what he wanted. His eyes are not gold.
All the power in creation will be within my grasp.
So here we have a really good look at like what's inside his body. It seems like more like some celestial magic stuff going on, as opposed to like Halo. I thought it was Halo earlier, but this looks more like there's like a little star, like stars and like galaxies and stuff, and like nebulous in it. So it seems more like some sort of like celestial magic on the planet or something on it. Yeah, Eternities. And obviously the O is a black hole. It is the super void. So I'm actually going to probably read the side story first, maybe, because this is kind of long.
At the same time.
Look, it's a flying whale. That's really cool.
I mean, okay, everyone wants to know what's the difference between sci-fi and fantasy, and the difference is that science fiction has whales in space, and fantasy has whales in skies. Hope we've settled that for once and for all. So I'm actually gonna go take a break and go get something to eat and drink, and then I will come back and read this, and then we can watch the preview stuff. So we're just gonna I forgot how to add texting into this thing. Give me a second. And poop then. Can't go wrong with Times New Roman, huh? Where are you? I'm not sure I'm doing this right. Hold on. Should have space here, but fuck. Okay, hold on. Yeah, that's good. Leave it. Okay, she can change the font. Is the question. No, not you color. Other color. Okay, I'm gonna say I really gotta go, but All right, I got my food. Not sure if I want to eat this right now. I'll just read and then eat probably at the same time as God intended. Let me check to see if there's been any comments. Yeah, we're just gonna read this by. Okay. I'm probably just gonna start reading this, and then we'll, in between like reading, I'll also probably snack a bit. Jeldon solidifies research contact. Velaman stares at her from across the table. Jeldon's mostly gotten used to lack of face on jellies. They're placed on top to communicate with life forms like hers. But the way the emote screen's mouth stays flat as he speaks has always freaked her out. Maybe we should. Interesting that they have gender, that the aliens also have, or the he, him pronouns and stuff. Despite like the what he's saying doesn't help either. There's nothing you can do for us, Sheldon. It's this or trading you for someone else or something from someone else. It shoulders up Sheldon's spine. Not favor hunters. Not again. Isn't it time she got to stop running? Got to come on top for once. But as far as Sheldon knew, jellyfish don't sigh. But Velman uncurled an elegant tentacle from around his drink in a remarkably exasperated manner. We've continued giving you what you need for years, and those kinds of favors accumulate. So, yeah, we had a little bosses for it to express themselves. A lot of purple and blue. This is probably some sort of blue card. Obviously, like tentacle, like squid themed. This clothing looks like it might be made of like the cloud stuff they sculpt, and obviously there's like some emphasis on, like they're using some sort of psionic or mind power because they don't have any eyes. It's just like maybe like a mouth. This could be their eye or something, and then their brain's really big, and then here we have like the psionic like psychic waves bringing attention to like the head, like it's all coming from the head. This one was really angry, so they're probably like malicious intent. Like they're probably trying to tell you, I don't like what's going on here. There's like a tube here actually, which is like sort of distorting the picture. And probably says the artist some effort of having like rendered all as much, like they can be more like distorted. And there's like almost like a black void. There's not a lot going on behind them in here. So these two and I think it's like a sort of framing, I guess. Dylan swallowed in the retort. Better memories flashed through her mind. They gave her just enough to do the next job, just enough for her to owe them one more favor, one more win before she would own her ship again, before she'd be free. And then when things went wrong, they just added it to the tally. Velmanon continues. If the company was doing better, who knows? Maybe this wouldn't be so urgent. But maybe the accumulation of favors and tasks she owes them would be more valuable to them in the hands of someone else. Velmanon continues. But Solidifies is behind. Our research and development team are being outflanked by those gasper brains that the Earth throws calm by. So they both seem to be not what the species called. They both seem to be not the lady. So one lady seems like she's some other species. I don't know if she's human or not yet, but the person she's talking to seems to be the ill void. But this ill void doesn't seem to be aligned with the combine. Um. So we know that those combine some sort of business because the name combine refers like a business. So slow body seems like another business. We think they have something we don't. Something bigger than the facility in Earthros. And if we can get a piece of it, even a hint of what it is and what it means, it will be worth far more than what you owe us. If you can get in, you will be free. The eyebrow on his emote screen's face looked up. John wanted to find it ridiculous, but can't. He's telling her too much. He's telling her so much. It's becoming clear that he thinks she won't survive and has no choice. Yeah. And he's right. Sheldon leans in. Fine, then. What exactly do you need from me? What Solidifies wants her to do is absurd, but fundamentally simple. Wear the vest with the finicky gadgets that Velmanon gives her, and give one to Resent for backup. Avoid the sentries between the refueling station and salvage yards around the edge of Earthros and its secrecy swathed core. Find the installation there, the one that doesn't exist. Make it as far as she possibly can. There's a set of doors in the installation. I'm sure this cannot go wrong. Near this core, if Gildan and Resent get to the doors, it should be close enough that the gadgets can send the necessary information back to the Solidifies research team. Velmanon is tight-lipped, so there are like smaller like factions, obviously, like the Solidifies. Velmanon is tight-lipped about what exactly they think she'll find, but he doesn't act like it's remotely safe. This doesn't bother Sheldon as much as it probably should. Last time my client told her a mission would be saved, Risen ended up having to carve her out of the side of a canyon. How does that happen? Anyway, we've already talked about the ship enough, so I mean, obviously it's made with cloud stuff. On the same planet below. She and Risen settle into the outer orbit of Earthros and await further word from Velmanon. I have to check to see if anyone's commented anything. Gildan's always liked the refueling stations and old warehouses on the outer orbit of Earthros, the way she thinks she'd be fond of a younger brother if she had one. Mostly is the contrast between the backdrop, the expanse of the space on one side, swirling clouds in blues and purples and pinks, and iridescent sheen on the other, and the lengths of clusters of corroded metal connecting drab refueling stations to garish bars and accommodations. Ugliness on top of beauty. From picking through native flowers for the pharmaceutical companies at Adagea. Adagea is the White Line planet, I believe, that like the Palatinate usually inhabits. Yeah, Adagea. As a kid, to hunting down corporate secrets in high-end company museums for the jellies. Oh, they're called jellies, not squids. Why is it called them jellies? Sheldon always had an eye for beautiful things. Gelden's new ship is ugly. An old cab mining vessel. Yeah, orange and brown paint peeling away to reveal gray and pitted metal. She's long and brutal. A razor with a six-pack of plasma torches strapped to its rear. According to the papers, the recent owner insisted on giving her the ship. The ship was first launched around a century ago, just new enough to be valueless culturally, but old enough that it's on paper functionally comes as a pleasant surprise. Goodness, so because we know the cabs love they want to preserve their artifacts. So if it was like too old, they'd probably be like, we can't give you this ship because we need it to preserve our culture. But because it's recent enough, they're just kind of like, it's just a ship. It's an old ship, but it's just a ship. Sheldon is still raw after trading in her own ship, a saucy, nimble thing, a place built to her own taste, in exchange for 2 heavy-duty pressure suits, Monos Alabile, Moss Illible. Well, for herself and Risen. I'm wondering if that's what the prints are called. It makes the cav ship uglier and more unbearable in comparison. She counts down the hours until Velmanon's boxes arrives. Now she has a task. She's impatient. It seems so close suddenly. Complete the mission for slither bodies, get a little something for herself on the way, and finally win. Finally get out from the eternal pressure of debt and network favors. Finally have something to herself, for herself. When the boxes do come, she leaves Resiment to examine them. When she checks and rechecks the lifeboats and the pressure suits, he studied Ilvoy script and worked in a research lab when he was a young student, when he wasn't busy hustling businessmen and smugglers on infinite guideline, thumbing his nose at Pinnacle. There's silver in his hair now, and he's sitting. So Pinnacle's like the faction we know. It's kind of like the Starfleet Alliance, almost like they're about peacekeeping and stuff. And he's sitting cross-legged on the bare floor of a mining vessel. Nothing to his name. Part of her has always felt bad for luring him into her business. If she can come out on top of this one, she'll make it up to him. So, you know, she does clearly have a heart and cares about him as like a person, not just like an object. At first, everything starts off beautifully. The old cab mining ship resists maneuvering in a dogged way that reminds Gildan of hot wiring agricultural equipment to get across the desert at night. Which is to say, she just has to wait it out a bit. It's built for a cap pilot, of course, too big for Gildan by half. And even when she puts her weight into it, there's a bit of lag on the controls, but she's dealt with worse. They start from the salvage yard, near where the ship has been parked, following the stream of unmoored ships out, trying to blend in with the directionless detritus. Gildan looks out the window at the planet in front of them, at the dizzying pattern of clouds, the subtle draws of what lies behind them. Next to her, Resent is examining those same clouds on his screen, fingers dancing along the pressure map. There's a storm coming up on one side of our ideal route, he tells her. If we can skirt the edge of it, we can probably master our way past the sentries, or at least an outer ring. How much damage would it do to the ship? If we stay on the edge, minimal. How likely are we to stay on the edge? Resent dodged an amused glance at her. You're the captain. He drums his fingers, so he's basically saying it depends on how well you fly. He drums his fingers on the edge of his screen. Not bad odds, he decides. It's a big ship, and the lifeboat is well protected by the hull. The other option is to cut all life support power from the ship, except the core hub, and hide in their pressure suits to avoid detection by the sentries. A suboptimal plan. I'm convinced, Gildan says. Adjust the route. He watches him do so, lets the coordinates control... Let's the controls lead them towards the ominous mass ahead, and wonders what she's going to steal to make all of this worth it. What's going to be their win? So interesting. There's like a fire explosion going on here. It looks like a conflict between maybe like the Ilvoy and like the bug people. Not 100% sure, because it looks like a fiery bomb and like they're flying out of here. There's like some sort of whirling vortex here, and this looks like an Ilvoy structure, just like how it's like kind of like has like a sort of like little little lines and bits connected, and also cloudy. It looks like it's conflicting with like the insect people somehow. There's something beautiful about skating along the edge of the storm. A view from or maybe it's just like a storm, I don't know. The view outside the window is a cacophony of color with swirls of gas moving too fast to focus on, and it calms Gildan. She can't see anything, so all there is to do is listen to the creak of the ship's walls and feel the drift in the wind. It's all balance, all instinct. She misses her ship, her real ship, not this cab monstrosity. If she makes it out of this, she wants it back. She'll trade up for it, find something that nobody will be able to turn down. So I don't know if I'm assuming she's human at the moment, because I don't know what else she could be. She doesn't seem to be Ilvoy, because she was kind of like creeped out by like the guy using like the Ilvoy mechanisms. I feel like she'd probably better understand what like Ilvoy like body language if she was Ilvoy. I don't think she's Cav, because the ship is too small for her to use properly, which leads me to assume like it's either a human or insect bug person, and I don't know what a bug person would be doing out here. So, because they seem very adamant about their terraformation project, so I'm assuming she's human at the moment. I don't know what who the person with her then, what their species is, but I mean probably not Ilvoy. Well, probably not Cav, at least, because it was too small for them too. And then the controls of a big mine ship that could eat her little ship whole. She lets herself daydream, free of solidifies their threats of favor hunters, and she and Risen could set up a little museum, maybe, or they could go for the collectors. She spent too long on corporate missions. She misses handling the beautiful objects, the thrill of luring the right buyers. Delicate, ask me no question conversational dance when they inquire about provenance. The small talk made up entirely of lies, of free lunches, the freedom to leave as soon as the deal is done. If she can get them in and out of Earth throws, in and out of the storm, anything is possible. She just needs to find the thing that will carry them out of this life and into the next one. Gildan typed in her grip on the manual controls on her left hand, and just as a strong gust hits the ship with a violent cracking noise, Risen hisses and takes a breath. The whole ship feels unsteady now. Not structurally, but it feels like maybe a few plasma torches were damaged. They've been keeping the bulk of the storm on the right of the ship. Gildan leans on the pedal for more power and tries to steer them left. The ship judders and turns slowly, inexorably right. Gildan, I know it's a torture. Something must have hit them. She wrenches the controls again, so hard her shoulder protests. It's steering us into it. Well, steer us out of it. Gildan engages the emergency life lock and watches the straps extend from the seats and cover herself and Risen, and then keep extending. Meant for cabs, of course. Yeah, so it's too long. Another hit to the right of the ship. This one sends Reason careening into Gildan, his head into her shoulder, her elbow into the controls, the safety straps tangling between them. Right, Gildan says as the floor tips beneath them. Get comfortable. I've lost wire and hydraulics. Can't steer this anymore. We just gotta wait it out. She sees the look Risen gives her, half concern, half outright pity. This is the bit she always hates the most. Not even trying to control what's happening, just waiting. She tries counting to 500. She tries going over the plan in her head. She gets to 127, 21, and survive the storm before she gives up. Risen, where are the vests? Secured in storage. Why? You said they had a microphone. Yeah. Gildan can't see Resin's face in the blurred movement as the ship rolls, but she can hear his smile. She always needs a distraction at a time like this. I did say that. And they wouldn't reach here, she asks. They wouldn't. Okay, so Gildan waits as she registers a crash, this time from the left side of the ship, and stifles a wince. What do you think they think this is? I didn't get very far with the test. It seems like maybe they're gonna try to give them they're just gonna say that, oh, I got it, and they give them some random shit and say they found it. They can get their shit back. I didn't get very far with the test, but some of the instruments are what you expect. General sensors to capture temperature, time, pressure. There were several modules I didn't recognize at all, though. Yeah, I think a few of them are measuring us. What, like heart rate, oxygen, that kind of stuff? Most suits do that. All that stuff, yeah. There's a neurological one, the microphones, like I said. There's one for our eyes, enhanced perception, no. No, I wish. I think it measures eye dilation or something. And then there are 2 skin patches, one for the shoulder and one for just under the throat. She just takes a break from rolling to move sideways sharply. Jordan lets her head thud gently against the headrest. Okay, so a suit of weird shit piggybacking on the usual sensors. That seems standard for a corp job. Why are you freaked? I don't know, Reason says quietly. They don't care about us, so what do they need samples of our sweat for? If they're being invasive, it's for a reason. Something about this feels off. Maybe they expect us to find a new type of ultra-condensed fuel core or something that would make the energy sniffers make sense. Maybe they figured we'd react some sort of way to the offshoots of whatever it is. But it also feels like they're maybe covering their bases, like they don't know what we're walking into either. Great, Gildan says. Awesome. She pauses. I promised them we'd go in with the vest, but there was nothing in the contract about exclusivity. Reason groans. There almost certainly was. I should have known this would happen. You always scheme when you get anxious. Gildan doesn't bother to dispute anything. It's calming anyway. Think about it. We go in, vest on, get them whatever they want. They're not expecting us to come back out of this at all. If we do, we can go to a competitor, give them the information we picked up. The guy that the guy just didn't. Tell them that the solar body's research is weak. Buy back the ship. Go back to doing things that were fun instead of soul crushing. It's obviously very interesting. Like doesn't want to be wants to be doing what their passion is, like a 9 to 5. Like this is worse than a 9 to 5 job, obviously, but doesn't want to be like a 9 to 5 shit job or something. I'm not against it. Risen says you get us out of this, and I'll do whatever you want. He's said that to her a dozen times at least. Gildan lets herself smile in the darkness. She always has gotten them out. They pass the sentries, bright blue lights sweeping across the sky on arcing complex structures behind them. Gildan can just picture the jellies behind those lights, impassive without their moving those screens, reading their weapons for any invaders. The lights pass over the edge of their ship once and twice move on. Debris from the storm swirls around them. They look like just another piece of detritus. They make it through. By the time they make it out of the store, the computer in the cockpit indicates that the life support in half the ship is fragile. Only one plasma torch is fully responsive, and the crack in the screen on the right side of the cockpit could succumb to the pressure at any time. Plus, one of the tanks is leaking fuel. At least when she checks their location on the screen, it indicates that they're pulling over to closer to Earth's core, well beyond the ring of centuries. The little dot represents the ship moving closer and closer to the planet, gravity working as well as ever. Indicators for the lifeboat look fine, but Gildan makes Risen go check it out in person while she goes to the gear. He returns with the information that the lifeboat's in decent shape. She returns with the monitoring equipment from Velmanon and their suits. With a crack in their screens and the fuel leak, they're better off with more protection. Even if they want to get as close as they can to the sensor before deploying, the lifeboat won't be suited to the pressure. While the ship's autopilot guides them coreward through Earth's atmosphere, Gildan and Risen take turns putting on the gear from Velmanon. Vest is just a colloquial term. Velmanon's gear is more of a webbing of pressure-proof fabric to support a suite of unknown sensors. There's a piece that goes around their thighs to measure what? Kelton whispers to herself. Thick thighs save lives. Gotta measure your thighs. I mean, I assume just like blood pressure generally just across your body, but I might be wrong. An eyepiece, the separate skin patches, and an actual vest. There's no doubt already actively sending data back to Solid Body's research. Gunn can just picture Velmanon sitting on one of his perfect ornate little stools, staring at the screen that says her heart rate is elevated. She's always wanted one of those little cloud sculpted stools. She hopes he chose. After the vest comes the pressure suits. Resin hesitates before putting them on, staring at the massive black bulk on them. I don't like it. Yoda doesn't like it either if she's honest. The heavy lines of Mono's alabile and more material, waking some deep fear in her, but they're the best suits for the pressure, and they may serve to obscure their identities if they're caught. There's nothing else for it, she tells him. When her suit closes around her, she feels a shift in the air or in herself. She can't tell. She stands taller in it, of course, taller and bulkier, and there's a hum of power in it. She could rip out the control panel of the ship if she wanted to. She could walk through walls if she wanted to. She could take what she wanted and keep it if she wanted to. She focused on the sensation of it, the ghost of power, the heat, and here's the snick of the gadgets on Solidified's research vest connecting to the outer sensors of the suit. It brings her back. The suit is powerful. It's also her cell. Until they get Solidified's research their data, Jeldon and Risen will never be free. Oh yeah, so they say the suits are pretty big here. We've seen some of like the monolith suits, so I assume it's like one of these big chunky suits. This is actually a robot, but we have seen some of the monolith suits, obviously. So they're basically wearing one of these like big suits. This guy has like a broken version, but in the suits, they're close to the size of cabin as a ship, and it's shape and his lifeboat were originally built for. Actually, I can probably pull up a pretty good picture of the suit. So like here we have see like some of the monolith suits. This is probably a better look at them. She feels a shift in the air or in herself. She can't tell. She stands taller and of course taller and bulkier. There's a hum of power in it. She could rip out the control panel of the ship if she wanted to. She could walk through walls if she wanted to. She could take what she wanted and keep it if she wanted to. She focuses on the sensation of it, the ghost of power, the hearing of snick and the gadgets of the solid bodies. Research vests connecting to the of the suit. It brings her back. The suit is power. It's also her cell. Until they get the Solidified research their data, children and resident will never be free. In the suits, they're closer to the size of cap miners the ship and its lifeboat were originally built for. They pile in and launch. Gelden spares a look at the mining ship, which has served them well. Risen has a tracker on it. Maybe they'll find their way to tow it back on their way out on the freighter Solidified has promised to send them. It is more likely that one of the Earthers and the storms will destroy it well before they're done with the job. Now it's just them and the lifeboat against the dark and the pressure of Earthros. Maybe it's being in the monolith's armor. The way she keeps saying Risen in her periphery with a jolt of fear, or maybe it's just the reality situation sinking in. Either way, Gelden is starting to get a sick feeling in her chest. She goes with a plan in her head. 1, get to the doors. 2, take something worthwhile. I'll make it all worth it. 3, find the lifeboat where they've stashed it. Or unlock an Elvoy vessel and take it to the abandoned fuel station not far from the core where Solidifies will have a ship waiting. 4, never to do something like this again. They dodge another set of There's another set of bitailing monster. These sentries are rings of cloud-sculpted metal that circle the core, crossing each other like an occasional cores and sending arcs of light between them. The monster is a beautiful, sleek, white, blue, white, pink, orange thing. Swims through them, through and around them easily, as if they weren't there. Its scales thick in gas and dust, shimmering and colorful, and the movement of its pectoral fins and the long, arcing movement of its tail make for perfect camouflage for a ship as small as theirs. So this monster seems like some sort of leviathan or whale. There's the risk of it trying to eat them, of course, or of a sail knocking them into particles in one easy sweep. But the light boat isn't particularly appetizing, and with the strength of the Mono's armor, Jordan's quicker on the controls than she wasn't on the big ship. So the Mono's armor definitely seems like some sort of like power armor. After that, it's easy until they see solid metal through the haze of the sands and gas. The metal core, the research center. Sheldon trades a glance at Risen. The suit obscures his mouth and chin, but she knows they're both grinning. Something awakes inside her. The old thrill of the chase, the joy of homing in on something beautiful and unattainable. As soon as they step out of the light boat and onto the smooth, beautiful metal of the research base, Gildan feels pressure bear down on her like the palm of a giant hand, inexorable and grinding and cool. The suit is doing its job, rising to meet the challenge, accepting Gildan in a state that almost feels suspended, but she can still sense the difference. There's a part of her brain screaming that she should be dead. She's dying, and she doesn't even know it yet. Gildan takes a deep breath. Another. She switches the comms signal on. Good, she asks Risen. Yes, a pause. Also, no. Suit's fine. Just feel like maybe I'm dying. More data for the jellies. She hears a snort. Yeah. Alright, go. The Earth's Combine is built both into and out of the core of the gas giant it takes its name from. The dark, solid core of the planet looms ahead of them. The dense tangle of cloud sculptured structures ascending from beyond the core, almost like coral, spacious and growing, lit up in the soft washes of color by Ilvoy guide lights. The different colors probably mean something to the jellies, but it's just a beautiful labyrinth to Keldon. The structures are mostly hollow, but they're densely constructed. None of the openings would fit anything larger than the leg of their massive suits. Yeah, because I guess because they're jellies and stuff, they can probably squeeze through tighter spaces easier. Jordan and Risen anchor the lifeboat to one looping edge of the structure and set a geomarker to find later. They clamber up to the top of that same column. Gildan contemplates the tangled pathways ahead of them. It could take days to climb them, all with the constant pressure, the incessant pull of the core's gravity. She knocks experimental fists on against the cloud sculpted loop. You think we could break through this stuff in these suits? Risen hums. Probably, but for the sake of the suits, we shouldn't try it more than once, maybe twice. Yeah, Gildan considers the twists and turns of the tube they landed on, the girth of it, the connection it makes with other tubes. I figure we should find something a little less central if we want to break in anyway. Something that they won't notice right away. Risen points, the gesture clunky in the massive suit. There's something smaller up there, to the right. Maybe we can aim for that. Good enough for me. They make it about 2/3 of the way to the nubby little alcove they're aiming for when they hear the slow rumble of vehicles below them. Get down and watch, Delvin mutters, and Risen crouching, almost in unison, looking through the gaps in the wall. 3 Ilvoy ride by, each perched delicately on their hovering chairs. Have we seen, do we have art of that? There's Quantum Riddler, though. It's pretty sick. Actually, I think it's its body is its back legs are fucked up. Ilvoy. Yeah, there's a little hover chair right there. She holds her breath as they pass directly underneath, hoping that they won't notice the change in the shadows. The looming mono suits above them. One of them waves a tentacle as they go, an almost mocking movement. The other two shake their heads in what looks like amusement. They move on. No alarm sounded. At the crossroads, Gelden and Risen let themselves sit and chew on some nutrient paste from inside the suit. It tastes like plastic. Again, this gives very almost like 40k power armor and stuff, because I know power armor in 40k does have nutrient supplements, and it tastes about as well as you'd probably think, which is probably shit. It tastes like plastic, as the water the suit provides to wash down, but Gelden's had worse. As they sit on an Ilvoy comes out from the side passage they're about to move to and taps something on the wall. Part of the wall slides open to reveal a terminal of some kind, but what it displays is beyond Gelden's eyesight or comprehension. Move your foot, Risen says. I think I can get an angle to see what's on the terminal. Gelden watches him inch along until he can twist to see, presumably into the hallway and behind the Ilvoy's head. The wind is picking up. Gildan starts to hear a quick, tiny ticking sound. It takes her a moment to realize that it's a small piece of rock, something sharp and very hard, hitting the metal of her suit. The Delaware researcher taps it, takes a long look at the sky, and disappears in the tunnel. Down the tunnel. Risen, Gildan says, "What do you know about the atmosphere here?" Risen swears, "You're right. Stones like this could damage the suits with too much exposure. We'll have to risk it. Let's just take this turn and try cutting in there." Breaking into one of the ornate tunnels is just as satisfying as Gildan imagined it to be. There's still something pulling at the back of her skull, an urge to smash, hurt, destroy, own, some residual rage from the pressure and the contract, no doubt. There's a small urge to run as well, a primal instinctive thing. But that diminishes as a cloud sculpted segment as well as Gildan's arm cracks under her fist. So I'm wondering how much of this is Gildan herself and how much of this is the suit, because I wouldn't be surprised if the suit had some like weird like mental effect on the person, especially since it's like black aligned. There might be like a downside or cost to using it. But since we know the suits are used by like a very black aligned faction. They work a space large enough to squeeze through, the edges of their suits scraping up against the sides. A slow streak of metal against metal. Once they're inside, the sound of storm abates. They duck back to the crossroads and try to coax the terminal back out of the wall, to no avail. "What did you manage to see?" Jordan asks Resonant, casually swiping the stool left by the Elvoy worker as she does. Anything interesting? I saw the word for big. Not that that's much help. And there's something that looked like deity, maybe, or ending. Something else looks like a combination of eat and land, but there was a swirl next to it that could have been a modifier. These are probably could be referring to something to do with like the monoists, because we know that they're all about like the end, like everything becoming one in the end, and maybe everything being eaten by the super void. Okay, Gildan says, leading them toward the pathway that seems to approach the certain center. That could mean anything. I mean, for all we know, it was playing a game on the work terminal. I mean, look, you know, you might as well do it on company time. I don't think it's a secret. I don't think it's a secret new fuel source, Resin says. There's something a bit unfocused about his voice, but I don't know what it is. There's only one way to find out. They walk. Jordan doesn't understand that spires and arches and pathways confused her before. Everything leads into the sensor in the end. The tunnels glow soft pink and blue, catching on the iridescent in the metals. In the metal. Outside, the planet carves new paths to danger every minute. Streams of liquid metal monsters, the likes of which she's never seen. Inside, the way is clear. They just need to keep walking. What they need is within reach. They just needed to get to the door. John remembers feeling uncomfortable in the suit. Now it feels natural, powerful. In the suits, they don't tire. They walk and walk, heading towards the sensor. Risen doesn't ask for a break. They go so long without speaking that Gildan begins to forget he's right behind her. I wonder, do we have cards for these guys yet? I didn't see a card for Gildan. Nope. So I spelled that wrong. It goes along with this. At some point, they reach the boundary between the external passageways and the internal tunnels. No one appears to bar their way. And why should they? Gildan's time sneaking around is done. She could kill a few jellies if needed. Not for this little bit of reach, but for the thrill of it. See, again, I don't know if this is her or the suit. It seems like the suit might be like have some corrupting factor on her, which wouldn't be surprising because it's normally used by like a Black Line faction. And like sometimes the stuff like factions like that use to have like downsides or like side effects, or like they use like some sort of dark magic that might corrupt you. Something pulls her forward, something as strong and simple as gravity, yet nothing like it. It tugs on her spirit more than her body. Gildan walks. As she walks, she thinks of nicking antiques from trading ships shelves as a teenager. Of the moment she built her in her, monument she built. As she walks, she thinks of nitpicking antiques from trading ship shelves as a teenager. Of the monuments she built in her room at school. She always had an eye, an inner sense for what's valuable and beautiful. And now that same sense is drawing her forward. She will find this last thing she needs. She'll win. She'll never lose again. This feels like a very like Black Alignment, like to have amass as much power as possible, so you can determine like your own fate, and not be at the whims of other people. All the things she got for herself and had to trade to other people. All the information she slunk and lied and crept her way toward for other people. Isn't it time she's thinking for herself? Again, it feels like the suit corrupting her. Like the suit might have some sort of like black man alignment or something that's like pushing her to have a certain way of thinking. They're on the corner and there they are, the doors. Gildan imagines something austere and imposing. Ornate, worked metal and guards. These doors remind her more of a toxic metal disposal unit than anything. Ceremonial, and the area around them is completely empty. Risen, Do you see any live monitoring equipment? No. Okay, I'm going in. Risen raises an arm, half blocking your pass. They said we only need to get within inside the doors. You want to turn back now? Yeah, I want to fucking turn back now, bro. If they want me to go past the doors, they can fucking pay me to go past the doors. The hands on the Risen's suit flex. Gunk can picture the way his fingers are curling into a palm. Doesn't he want something for himself? Doesn't he want to follow the pool? I've been thinking about what was on the terminal, he says. Even over the suit comms, his voice is shaky. I think I was right. Something like World Eater, Deity, and World Eater. Whatever it is, Gelden, is that something you can pluck out of a room and bring home for your trophy shelf. Don't you feel it? She asked. From outside her, she can hear the twist twist on her words. Desperation, the bitterness. Good. Shouldn't she be a bit bitter? Can't you sense the pull? Yes, he snaps. That's what I'm afraid of. You ought to be afraid too. It's getting you. Think. We've been sent into the core for a secret research installation for purposes we're not privy to by people who don't care about whether we live or die. We've been lucky so far. We have to respect that by trying to get back out. We've made it this far. Gildan hears herself replying. She really is out of her head now, half in her body and half reaching for whatever is on the other side of the door. Oh, I just realized. So I've been theorizing that like the thing in the Earth, like essentially the Earthros might be like the monolith stone to help like convert the super void into a black hole. It might be because they're wearing the fucking monolith suits, so it's drawing them to them because they're wearing the monolith suits. Oh, and we also know the monoliths like here shift from like black holes and stuff, so that might be like what's happening. Shouldn't we respect that by trying to find it all out? No, Reason's voice takes on a desperate edge. Come on, Gildan. You finally have a super jelly throne. You've been wanting one of those for ages. It'll go into that little alcove by the cockpit when we figure out a way to get the ship back. We just have to get there. But it's not that simple, is it? Slither Bodies promised them a pickup to get them out. They'll call that a favor. They'll say she owes them one again. She doesn't have something big. If it doesn't take something beyond anything they have on her, she'll never get out. Jen looks down at the stool. She's been carrying it all this time. It's nothing special, just a smooth spiral of bluish gray metal. It's small enough at the base to wrap her hand around it. It's not enough. It's just foolish to ever think it would be. Slowly, Gildan squeezes her fist, giant in the pressure suit, around the stool and watches it crumble. I'm sorry, Risen, she says. She wriggles one arm free within the bulk of her suit and uses it to take out the eye lens Velmanon gave her. Rakes her hand across the gadget on her chest and disconnects everything she can. She's given them everything she owes them. She won't meet their stupid shit. She won't meet their stupid shit, not until she has something better, something else she sees. Anything else she takes is all hers. The door opens easily at her touch, like it's been waiting for her. It swings swings in, and the air that rushes out through the gap is heavy, dark, rank with something beyond death. The monolith suit and all its oxygen filters are useless against it. Yeah, which is probably because it's weird magic shit. When Gildan peers through it for her promised look, for her sight of the thing that's been pulling her forward, the knowledge that will make all of this worth it, she sees the tip of a nightmare embedded in the metal core of the planet. It's the corpse of a monster from Adygea. Blown out of proportion, grotesque and bloated. No, it's the tail end of a sandstorm, the shadow of a favor hunter on the doorstep. It's the tip of every mundane and unreasonable fear Gildan ever had. Gildan falls to her knees, metal hitting cloud form. She knows what she sees. Here's something horrible and unique. Here's something for her to cherish and worship. The corpse of a titan, reality bending, time warping. No doubt the jellies are trying to carve it into a weapon. Is it some sort of Eldrazi thing, or? I mean, this looks kind of like in the shape of like one of the Void, but like it's got like it's clearly like more like actually made of clouds. And it's like a dark stormy cloud with like a bit of red, and it's thing going on with like its head, like blue lines, like maybe something to do with its mind, and like these weird like pauldrons. Yeah, like cloud sculpt material. They don't understand it. All I'd ever wanted was they don't understand it. All I ever wanted to do is shape the world into the perfect image, to wield power like a sculpting knife. She understands. She'll be the clay. She'll make her something beautiful and powerful, something valuable. Yeah, this feels like Eldrazi, right? Because it's like the idea of like things changed into something else and sculpted. Somewhere behind her, a low repetitive wail echoes the tunnel. Resin's voice is in her headset, shouting something. She hopes he's running. She hopes he beats the odds and makes it out. But Gildan will be here until they pry her from the floor. She'll shrink in the nightmare, and she its twisted beauty. Nobody can take that from her. Nobody will. This could. I mean, I think it's more likely less likely it's Eldrazi, more likely that's like weird monolith shit. Because we know they're all about that shit. And it makes sense if it was drawing her towards it because it was pulling her on her suit. Basically, like the suit was kind of connected to it in some way. We'll do the card art later, some other time. I guess we'll just watch. I don't know if I'm gonna watch all of that right now, but I will watch the Edge of Eternities debut. while I eat. We already saw this earlier, but we'll watch it again.
Some think there's nothing beyond what is known. But I came from nothing. I took
Oh, also, I didn't mention this earlier, but when he said he came from nothing, it could also be like, so it could be referring to the fact that on Esper he was like pretty low society, so nothing. It could be that he came from like outside. He came from nothing, that in the sense that he came from another plane, because he says like what they think what's outside of what they know is nothing. It could, the idea also could be that he's making something from nothing, so it's just like a rock is being turned into like a useful device. It could also be kind of he's in space, so he's coming from space, so he's coming from the void of space, i.e. nothing.
To forge my own destiny. I will make the stars tell me their secrets and bring these planets to their knees when I know everything. All the power in creation will be within my grasp.
It's swirling with color. It's full of battling spaceships. It's
Holy
star
shit.
nebula far, far away.
Crazy art.
It's a beautiful place.
Reminded I love Magic the Gathering art. It's so good.
To me, I mean, like, as a human being, space is the final frontier, and as a magic designer, space has always also been the final frontier because we've never done anything before like this.
It's not like a small place.
I could have sit here and analyze art individually, but I think we'll wait till like maybe when we see the card art or something. I don't know.
Been before.
Because I don't want to sit here and just be playing the video, but at the same time I don't want to be pausing every like literally 2 seconds to say something per se.
To me,
Maybe I changed my mind.
All the
We'll look at this.
I will make the stars tell me their secrets. I know everything. All the power in creation.
Also, the idea of knowing everything, very blue line, and also like using it for like power, like that's where the black comes in.
Within my grasp.
Okay, also forgot. I should have I can't believe I didn't catch this. Like the framing here, like he says he has everything in his grasp, and this is being literally like represented by like the framing, like this void is so far away it looks like it's literally within like the palm of his hand. Like it could fit here. So this is being used as like a metaphor, like I'm gonna put this literally within my grasp. I'm gonna show you this by literally visualizing it with this thing appearing visually as if it's in his grasp. Oh, interesting how this is like rotating. So we were talking about Mutavault, or no, I don't know if I remember this one.
It's swirling with
This is pretty. I think I'm just gonna wait till like we get like the cards themselves, because these are all very interesting pieces of art, and it's like I wonder if this is like some sort of like weft travel and like
color.
whirling.
It's full of battling spaceships.
It's a lot. This is like a huge spaceship battle. It looks like between the monoliths. This is like a monolith ships maybe, and then maybe like all the yellow is like the Palatinate.
It's star nebula far, far away.
This was like the maybe that asteroid belt with like the weird shit in it.
It's a beautiful place.
The super void, and I think maybe like the planet closest to it getting sucked in.
to me, I mean, like, as a human being, space is the final frontier, and as a magic designer, space has always also been the final frontier because we've never.
So here it is. It's like interesting. They have like little packs. This might be like on their planet, like because the planet's like frozen, so this might be like parts that are melting, and this thing was under. Because we know like stuff hides in the ice too.
Or like this.
It's not like a small place we haven't been before. It's really huge and so unknown.
The edge of Eternities is really at the edge of the multiverse.
The way that our amazing
So it's literally at the edge of the multiverse. Okay.
world building team has explained.
So is it the only planet at the edge of the multiverse, or is it like one, or like multiple planets at the edge of the multiverse? That's my question. Is it like the planet at the edge of the multiverse like surrounds it? Like someone described, like if you want to describe like the planets, like the planets themselves are like sort of like the flesh of like an orange, and then like the planetaries is sort of like the rind, like the white bits between, and then you have like is the edge of eternity the peel, or is like there's like the other parts like to the peel?
to me is if you imagine the multiverse like an orange, the edge is
Using the fucking orange example. Oh my god. Wait a minute. I gotta shut the fuck up and just listen to them. Sometimes they literally just speak.
imagine the multiverse like an orange, the edge is the rind. So it's this thin layer on the very outside.
Okay, that's interesting. He actually chose the edge of the rind. So would the blind charge be the peel or
Side of the blind eternity.
also very beautiful?
And it's a little peek into a part of Magic's lore that has kind of been known for a long time, but also has been very unknown, this blind eternity space.
We weren't bound by any of the normal restrictions that we often have when we're returning to an old Magic plane that has a specific mechanical identity. Here, it's like, we're going to space. We've never been to space before. There is infinity exciting stuff to do here.
Oh, Sammy, Wildcat Captain. We saw them in one of the stories. We haven't finished all the stories, but they were in episode 1 at least.
Not just that anything can be out there, it's kind of that everything is.
We're in uncharted territory. We are expanding what anyone can imagine that Magic the game can be, that Magic the worlds can be.
Whenever Magic goes to a new kind of setting, there's this enormous untapped well of concepts that we've never done before that we get to do for the first time.
What it means to have planets, what it means to have ships, and kind of creating those things in the language of Magic.
So there is
Well, I will talk about this arc since we get the full card. So Starfighter pilot, 1 generic, 1 white for 2 mana. Creature human pilot. Whenever this creature becomes tapped, surveil 1. So once again, cares about being tapped, which goes well with the station like mechanic and stuff. Bright Star 1, the flight comm. Scopes are clear. The stars are yours. This seems like one of the members of the Palatinate. We see a bit of this person's eyes and face, like a bit of expression. They're wearing like white and yellow armor, so you know it's like a white card mostly. And then you have like the outside, like the glare of space and like the blackness and the aether. And one again, it's like one of those cards I can't say too much about this. Like obviously you have this, which acts like as a way like to show what they're looking at, like this cool hologram to show what they're looking at, and like these orbs to like fly the ship. So definitely like because we know there's different types of ships in this plane. Like obviously the more money you have, you can get like fancy like touchscreen ships, and there's like clunky like but there's still like more clunkier or like thicker like more tactile like how do I put this, like analog stuff. Obviously they're like sitting on this glowing chair to like to emphasize like give them like a bit of light and also like draw your attention to them a bit.
is a storyline happening while a lot of stuff is also happening in the background. So the main storyline follows
Anime and Sammy. I didn't know they had these little things. I guess they're a robot.
and their crew of misfits.
And the whole system here is revolving around a void called Sothera.
There is a faction of
So interesting. So there are
monks who worship this black hole, and
Oh yeah, I mean, okay, so they call them monks, and I keep doing boss baiting by comparing it to Warhammer. This could be another Warhammer reference because they also seem to have like these big like power armor suits. I shouldn't have closed. And technically the I'm not sure if you like they call them in universe like monks. I don't think they do, but technically like the Space Marines, for example, are like monk inspired. Like they're the idea of it, like these like order of monks that basically wander off and isolate themselves from like human people to go like train and kill shit really good, and they come down every once in a while to like save the day. So the Space Marines are inspired by knights, obviously, but they're also heavily inspired by monk. They take a lot of monk inspiration. So the fact that the monoliths are monks is also very interesting, and also yeah. So like,
and are trying to feed it.
also that monolith isn't. This is like the first monolith I think we've seen that isn't like a human.
Monks who worship.
We were told that they incorporate like people who aren't human into like their cult, but like also you have people like traveling through space in the background. But this is like the first one we've seen. This one almost looks like an Aetherborn, to be honest. I don't know if it is. It could just be an elemental of some sort. But if you don't know what an Aetherborn is, hold on. They're on a Kaladesh, and there's like these wispy like. They look like this. It's kind of, that kind of looks like more like if you like sanded down their edges. But it could just be an elemental. Some elementals look kind of like that.
This
It's interesting how like smooth this one is. Like, I I don't know if they're smoothing like that artificially or if that's like supposed to represent
and are trying to feed it and eventually have it.
We actually do see this art. We have alpha, like the alpha real car. I just haven't gotten far enough in the story to like justify like looking at it. And here we have like cult members in the background. It's pretty interesting.
Consume the entire universe.
The super void at the center, as well as 5 planets, and each of those 5 planets are aligned to a different color of mana in Magic.
Yeah.
And all.
So just generally, if you're looking at like Magic stuff, 5 is like the magic number because there's 5 colors. So Magic usually has 5 things in sets of 5, or things are divisible by 5. So for example, like there are 10 guilds in Ravnica. That's because there are 10 color combinations, so there's 5 colors in total. So 10 or 1 with each color combination. So usually in Magic it's like 5, 10, 15, etc. Stuff like that are like important numbers to take note of.
5 planets sort of express their identity through what that color is about.
And that's something that we really wanted to do with Edge of Eternities, was to really get the sense of this large scale, like space.
Starfield vocalist. This looks like a member of the. Also, I don't think we've seen that. This is like, so obviously there's like more aliens than just the species they're showing us, like in the Planeswalkers guide. Those are just the major ones within the Sothera system. So obviously other systems have their own aliens. This is a clearly different alien. It's not. This actually might be an insect person, but I wouldn't be surprised if there were other aliens. We just not seeing a bunch. Oh my god, my throat's like. I need water. This is like a member of the Pinnacle, because they have like the Pinnacle seems to use a lot of gray and silver. Starfield vocalist. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes it triggered ability of a permanent, you control the trigger that ability triggers an additional time. So yeah, blue like copies abilities and spells and stuff, so that makes sense. You may cast this card from your hand for its warp cost. Exile this creature at the beginning of your end step, then you may cast it from exile in later turns. So you could potentially warp it in, cast it in to get the copy, and then it warps away, and then you can cast it later. It's interesting that there's like 2 vocalists here, even though this one's clearly the main character, like the spotlight literally on this person, not that person. But like there's 2 here because like it copies it, so you could interpret this as like a sort of like duet, like, oh, whenever you sing or copy something, this person follows up the act. And blue does have like an association with certain forms of art, and the idea of like perfection, and you have to like perfect your art. I'm not sure that's not exactly what the thought process is going on here, because it's not like a legendary creature or anything, but wouldn't surprise me. And also this person is also like a lot of blue in the color palette. Like this person's silver and gray, sure, but like the background's like almost all shades of blue. This alien here is blue. You know, stuff like that.
Opera. We wanted it to feel.
And obviously spotlight, so you know who to look at. It's like the attention's all on that guy.
Large scale, like space opera. We wanted it to feel vast.
We get to tap into our vision of outer space, right? Like physics doesn't apply to Magic.
Planets don't necessarily have to be round. You have planets here that have like turned into like corkscrew shapes, or some of them have like holes through the center of them, or
is that a corkscrew shape? I mean, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it looks more like it's just being torn asunder. I don't really see the corkscrew shape. I don't think we've seen anything that's really a corkscrew shape. We've been seeing like round stuff and stuff like distorted ovals and stuff, but
like corkscrew shapes, or some of them have like.
I'm assuming
holes through the center
I'm
of
not saying
them,
he's
or
lying. I'm assuming he's
black
right. I assume we just haven't seen it yet.
blasted into bits, but they're still.
Oh
keeping
yeah,
their
here's
shape.
something. What the? I mean, it's more like an elemental or something, like some sort of living planet elemental or some shit. But
In orbit.
In
I
a
guess
site-
mutable on
in
his side
fantasy
one.
set like this, scale is such an important thing.
Space is big, so we kind of let loose with the numbers a little bit, found ways to get double-digit numbers onto cards.
Imagine like this Warhammer lore where it's like they lost 3 billion guardsmen or some shit on like a single battle.
Maybe even bigger than Emrakul the Aeon's Torn, but I'm not going to spoil
Okay, that's hinting at Eldrazi, I assume. Does that mean it's gonna be another Titan? I don't know, but
that yet.
Even when we go to a new place, we want to connect to Magic.
We decided to put a lot of lands in this set to really give players a chance to like.
oh yeah.
have the
So
full-
I forgot. So among the themes we've seen a tapping theme, a artifact theme. We do have like 1 landfall card, so there is potentially landfall theme. That's pretty interesting.
experience on the table in their battlefield with this new setting.
I was really excited when I started to work on the set to see that Tezzeret, our old friend, the evil artificer, was in the file. It's such a perfect setting for him.
Yeah,
It is.
Tezzeret's
It really
here.
is.
Tezzeret got a little bit of a facelift.
If I don't talk
He's
about the art, it's
looking-
probably because I either know I can't think of anything to say, or because I've already talked about it. I'm probably gonna talk about the art that appears with cards, just because it gives me more to talk about. If it's just art on its own, I probably won't talk about it. I will just wait until the all the set cards come out.
Pretty badass.
Another great way that we connect Magic and the Edge of Eternities is through creature types, right? Kavu are returning, for
Kavu, Land Seeker. So, like literally on the land, you can see like he's looking for something. Like he's like it feels like we're kind of like maybe like a little like he's a little bit perched above us. So he's sort of like scouting the land. He's in a position where he like can see more stuff. I think it's definitely on Kavu because like a bunch of shit, like stuff flying off. So I think it's a planet like being destroyed. Mass, this creature can't be blocked except by 2 more creatures. Sometimes Mass represents being scary. This could represent being scary, sure, but it could also represent like a sort of navigation. Like it's hard, like it's just harder to stop him because he can like he has a better understanding of the land. Also, Land Seeker is probably looking for like something that could have like an artifact in it for the Kavu. Kavu, yeah. When this creature enters, create a land or token. At the beginning of the end step on your next turn, sacrifice this token. Oh my god. I wouldn't mute my mic when I cough like that, but I think it makes my thing act funky. I don't want to take the risk every time I want to mute.
fans of Kavu out there. Slivers, of course.
Slivers are back. It'd be interesting if Slivers had a role like similar to like Tyranids, where like there's just like this invasive species just coming in and just eating everything. Also interesting it's like liquid metal coming out of here. Like it's not an artifact creature, but it seems like almost like liquid like mercury. I don't know if it's forming into a sliver or if it's like some sort of like biomass pool as looks kind of like mercury. I don't know.
I know there's so many fans of Slivers, Eldrazi.
Also, have we had sliver tokens like this? Like a colorless sliver token?
You see
Eldrazi. Once again, I don't know if there's a Titan in the set. I'm kind of leaning towards the idea that it probably isn't. They're probably just like remnants or something. When this creature leaves the battlefield, draw a card. Then you may put a permanent card from the permanent card with a mana value less than or equal to the number of lands you control from your hand on the battlefield tab. So this one also kind of cares about lands. So once again, we have a land theme. Warp. So I mean, it makes sense because Eldrazi are like weird, like extra dimensional creatures. So if there was going to be a card with warp, it definitely would also be Eldrazi.
these creatures that you've seen on Dominaria and the other planes of Magic, but now we've brought them to the Edge of Eternities.
One of my favorite cards in Magic is Tarmogoyf. Now that I was working on the space set, I could live my reality of Tarmogoyf, space, Cosmogoyf.
We already talked about this card. Oh, it's animated too. That's pretty cool.
And that just
We already talked about this card, but yeah, I don't know
you
use
know,
it.
really captures the feel of, hey, we are in outer space now. All right, what is, outer space version of a Lurgoyf?
So from the onset of trying to design Edge of Eternities, I always knew that I wanted the large common flyer to
Yeah, you gotta have it's a common flyer.
be a space whale.
I guess it's like a large common. So I mean, again, I'm not supposed to say it's clearly a fucking whale. They have like little glowing bits to help draw attention. It's like a lot of blue around it. Like the whale itself is kind of white. There's like a lot of blue flowing around it, like almost like the whale's producing it or flying through like an aether, some sort. Near the face was like definitely more light, like highlight like his face a little bit more. Like there's more like a highlight around its edges and face around this side. Like more like blue on this side. It's almost like the whale almost like divides the picture almost. Like not completely, but like this side's like kind of red, and then once you get to like the tail, and then like down here it's like all blue, like aether stuff. Flying. When this creature enters surveil too. I mean, obviously it flies because it's in space. As to be top two. I mean, did Lurgoy have flying?
Trying to design Edge of Eternities, I always knew that I wanted the large
Outer space.
I mean, it
version-
doesn't because it's not blue, but I guess there's a difference between creatures that can fly through space and creatures just kind of floating through it. I guess. I mean, kind of questionable because arguably they should all have flying if this.
version of a Lurgoyf.
So from the onset of trying to design Edge of Eternities,
I mean, they should all have flying from a flavor perspective. Obviously, from a game balance perspective, that's like a terrible fucking idea.
I always knew
so-
that I wanted the large common flyer to
Surveil 2, and you can warp it so you can surveil earlier and then
be
play it
a
later.
space whale. They're in so many different kinds of media, and I always find it so silly. It's so awesome at the same time.
Look, it's a flying whale. That's really cool.
There are so many named characters and so many
Cosmo Grand Zenith. So obviously the Palatinate, a lot of gold and white. Interested to see more of
named
her.
factions.
We do see this Galactic Wayfarer. We already talked about this a bit. It's very interesting seeing Zoom like high quality art. I don't think people appreciate just how much high quality art you get in Magic. Not only that, but like how much of like zoomed in versions of it exist. Because I feel like especially in old Magic, even if the art was good, you didn't always have like a good. Yeah, have like a good like picture of it, so that would be like really shitty quality unless it was like on the card or something. So
so many different kinds of ships and different kinds of planets, and it really gives you this sense that you're
that's pretty interesting.
living in a universe that is more massive than you could have ever imagined.
Like,
Right?
I've not seen any of these yet.
So excited.
Yeah, it'll be
I
awesome.
love the way the space dragons turned out.
Yeah, space dragons with weird multiple eyes.
Alert, Cosmogoid.
So, okay.
Recommended action, run. Well, you just need to open some more packs.
I'm working on it. I'm going slow. I'm
Learn to spend your money, kids.
Yeah.
Keep on gambling.
As someone on the world building team, it's always really exciting to be able to bridge that gap between the world building we've done and the mechanics we see on the card.
When you're saying, hey, we're doing an outer space world, like, of course you're going to have planets. Of course you're going to have spacecraft. It's science fantasy at its heart and bringing that to life.
So to me, space is about exploration and being an optimist about what I could see. It's also about the vast amount of distances required to travel.
Wait, is this a forest
The
card? Hold on, that was a forest card.
It's also about the
Huh. Interesting. These look like ships, and maybe it's like ideas like I don't know if this is like cosmic forest or what. But.
vast amount of distances required to travel it. The scale, the size, look how big these things are, while also having the harsh reality of space being extremely unforgiving, and it's dangerous. And we have 4 mechanics in the set that each reflect one of those things.
So station is our mechanic that is kind of representing the huge objects in space.
There are 2 new subtypes in Edge of Eternities. There's spacecraft and planet. And at certain thresholds, that permanent will do special things. If it's a spacecraft, it'll be a big creature, and if it's a planet, it'll unlock an awesome ability.
The mechanic works similar to kind of vehicles or mounts where you are paying in your creature's power at sorcery speed to kind of turn them on. But unlike those, you are gathering counters over time until you reach a threshold and unlock the abilities on the card.
Here's a big, splashy new mechanic that gives you a sense of enormous scale.
You put all this effort into it, but now that power is at your disposal is a really fun feeling.
Of course, with land being such an instrumental part of a fun game, we wanted something to capture, once again, this feeling of discovery, right?
Lands are representing the exploration of new places, which is really core to the genre, and artifacts are representing technology, and the lander is really the marriage of those two things.
Lander is a new
So
token
yeah,
that we're
artifact and
introducing.
land seem like a really big theme in the set. Because like I know Kamigawa cares about artifacts and enchantments, for example. So I guess the way they basically made it more distinct, besides like the flavoring, is like mechanically it's more distinct because it's an artifact and land set as opposed to like an artifact and enchantment set.
All you have to do is pay 2 mana and sacrifice it, and then you search your library for any basic land and put it onto the battlefield tapped.
It is kind of similar to other token mechanics that we've done.
And it also
like
makes sense that there'd be
clues.
like maybe it wouldn't be as focused on enchantments because we know that I think Tezzeret comments on like how they're like not as well versed in magic as other planes, but even if they're very technologically advanced, like their understanding of magic is like not as high as other planes. So it does make sense that maybe this place isn't like a plane with like a bunch of enchantments and stuff. Like it's like technology and planets.
Your treasures. In the set, it ties into landfall as a returning mechanic, and letting you make multiple land drops and really playing with
So
that
yeah, landfall is confirmed to be in the
theme of
which makes sense. I mean, if you have the planet set, you do want to encourage people to play the planets.
discovery and exploring new stuff.
And then we have the warp mechanic to really evoke how far people have to travel in space. At light speed, they show up, they're gone.
Warp is a mechanic that allows you to play the card from your hand for its warp cost, and then you get it temporarily. You have it for this turn only. At the end of turn, it leaves, goes, hangs out in exile, and then you can pay the full retail version later on. It's kind of a variant on adventure or similar mechanics like that, except here you are playing the same thing twice.
And so it warps in, those will have enter effects, which are typically good, and then it warps out for you to cast it later. And then that combos so well with Void because Void is a very straightforward mechanic that says, hey, when things leave, I give you a reward.
So Void is a mechanic that cares about things.
What I feel like it might be really good in this set is because it procs off anything leaving the battlefield, including your opponents. And if your set cares a lot about like flickering and like warping, then you can just bank on your opponent. You or your opponent has a really high chance of hitting that like void criteria.
The battlefield, or if you have warped a card this turn. It checks both of those things, and it's just a pretty clean upgrade if you manage to make your stuff leave the battlefield before you play these cards.
Really powerful, really straightforward, makes for some really fun combos. This is the Edge of Eternities. This is what magic means when it's in outer space.
All right, here we go. The ship, the Sarima.
You got the Sarima?
I did it.
It's a rad looking ship.
Did you find when you work with artists on this set that they were like super psyched for it?
Oh, yes.
Right? Because they hadn't been able to paint these things for
Yeah.
magic?
Like way more than usual. We had people reaching out and being like, I want to be on the space set.
Yeah.
A lot of our artist pool doesn't normally get to work on space. Spaceships, planets, things that are large in scope.
You know, reaching out to them and saying like, hey, I have an assignment. And there was like rumors that the artists always kind of talk to each other. So they were like kind of waiting for it. They were like, yes, it's finally here.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had as large a number of the artist pool as excited to work on a particular plane or setting as this one.
The booster fun is just so incredible. The colors that it brings to Magic.
The lands just hit differently here. I think like there's something about the vertical format that we don't normally get with a regular Magic set, because here space goes in all directions. So like it plays well to that vertical card art.
There's so many like beautiful
Yeah,
space
I guess if you wanted to put like the sky, yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
vistas where like you just see the curve of the planet on the card, and then you can see like ships fighting in front of it.
There's little spaceships zooming through, and the team really knocked it out of the park, just bringing lands to life. Whoa, breeding pool!
That's exciting.
That is so beautiful. We brought in the shock lands, which brings them into standard. Super exciting for that reason.
The borderless viewport lands were
So you know,
this moment of
the
you've
card
just,
art we
like-
saw earlier was breeding pool, which I guess maybe these are all like the pods that some of the insects are using. We have Godless Shrine here. Maybe I was reading too much into like some of the color alignment based on the lands, because this has like the Palpatine again, and this is white black. This is white red. This is green red for the insect people, and then blue black for the. I'm very curious about like how they decide which lands they want to do, because they said there's only 5, but these 2 are enemy colors. Or these 3 are enemy colors, and these 2 are ally colors. So it just seems weird, because usually it's just like all enemy colors or all ally colors. So I'm curious about how
on a new
deciding to
planet,
do this.
right, and you're still on your spaceship, and the door is opening, the ramp is descending. So we kind of incorporated the interior of the ship as the frame, but then the art is just this like window,
Okay, so there's a ship. Okay, so windows from a ship. That's pretty
and
interesting.
who's kind of
This looks like it could be on Earthros, like a monolith on Earthros maybe, because this looks like part of the gas giant. And this looks like one of the insects on Cav. I want to say, okay, that definitely looks like the shrine that's like the planet close to the super void that the monos worship, which is interesting because I guess this implies that they're about to fight. These guys are showing up to like their shrine, and this might be like maybe a godless shrine to them because this is how they're perceiving it as a godless shrine. This looks like it's probably the green planet, and I want to say this looks like the wildlife planet, but so I think we see all 5 planets here,
framed and looking out.
but they're not all being like perceived by like the faction that like has the most sway over them, because like this is like the Cav planet, but we're not seeing it from the perspective of like a Cav. We only see it, yeah. So.
Window becomes exciting, just a lot of really good storytelling opportunities.
So we have a cycle of returning lands here, and I sort of pulled some little nuggets that I was seeing and turned it into a consistent chronicle across them that basically
Yeah, I
just
noticed that. That was really good.
explores moons. Flavor text is a really fascinating storytelling tool. It gives you those little windows into the world. I like the
Hold on, let me get a chance to read these. Okay, log 1.4.778. Granav, a tropical moon teeming with endemic biota. A must-see for any aspiring astrobiologists. So I think these are all moons. At least the big art, I think, is the main planets, and then the normal art is like moons. Log 1.7.618. Star Shadow, a relic of a culture lost to calamity. Its people were eradicated in a single day. But by what? I have suspicions. I mean, it's probably, it could be anything really, because there's space. So it could be an asteroid or something, but Log 2.2.119. Kiln, known for its blazing forges and ancient lava sweeps. The footing may be treacherous, but the metallurgy is grand. Log 2.5.325. A newborn moon, Aquat, still turns to the fire of creation. I'm eager to see what it will become. Watery grave. Log 2.9.089. Lamont, the cemetery moon of salvage and secrets, could be profitable for those brave enough to plumb its recesses. Macy's Edge Farm.
and
I wonder, oh, Macy's a
Chronicle
character.
across them that basically just explores moons.
Maze.
Flavor text is a really fascinating storytelling tool. It gives you those little windows into the world. I like the idea that it was a peek into a grander universe.
The flavor text really gives you this sense of a world that is enormously expansive.
When you crack open a pack, you can kind of land anywhere in the midst of what's going on.
Check it out. I got Celestial Colonnade. Right?
Wow.
Yeah, borderless
That was the card I ever saw. It's white blue. So there are like clans that care about like the other colors, like, but they're not the shock lands. It looks like.
Stellar Sights card. I love the font that the title's in. It really captures that outer space vibe.
Borderless stellar sights, what we
I don't think we saw this one, but
really wanted to do was wanted to reduce the footprint of the frame on the cards. We did that by taking the title down into the bottom half of the card. And then along the sides with the frame, it's kind of like a star chart, giving you that explorative feeling to it.
You get all these like cool, crazy planetary shapes and asteroids and spaceships and things that frame showcases very well. And the borderless poster stellar sights are probably one of my favorite treatments we've ever done.
The roots of this art style are these like travel posters that kind of came out of the 1930s.
I like how this is high market and they're literally like up high. It's literally a market up here. Again, these all look like travel posters. I'll talk about them individually some other time, but
It's just this really interesting juxtaposition of a kind of anachronistic and nostalgic travel poster style with the super new and novel and futuristic science fantasy setting. That combination is a little bit dissonant, but in a way that's really interesting and cool and looks really new.
The borderless surreal space treatment definitely hits a lot of that classic Magic vibe.
Honestly, my favorite thing I've worked on at Magic ever. The art influences behind it, we dipped really heavily into kind of 1970s.
to exist and to be subject to its hunger are one and the same. So yeah, it's everything.
Science fiction art. They're so like surreal and ethereal.
And especially in like such a bright palette that we have here across all the like galactic clouds and whatnot, it was just vibing with a lot of people in a way that I haven't seen before.
The Borderless Triumphant cards were kind of a labor of love and a really fun idea we had. It's where someone is exploring space and they're like looking out and then they're
Well, I don't think we've seen a Stellar Reclaimer. Flying. This creature enters, return target non-creature, non-land, permanent, with mana X value or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the amount of mana spent to cast this creature. So it basically she reclaims. Like you cast her. I'm assuming to her it could be a they. I mean, angels are like traditionally magic. They're usually women and demons are usually men, but there's probably issues with that, like with gender stereotypes and stuff. But anyway, this card, it seems like the idea is that you play it, you reclaim something from your graveyard. Ragos Deaf Gastronaut. Artifacts you control are foods in addition to the other types. So it seems like, again, I said I was like, there's probably aliens outside the major aliens they showed in the Planeswalkers guide. It seems like one of them, like it's more of like a lobster alien. Artifacts you control are foods in addition to their other types and have 2 mana sacrifices artifact you gain through life. So the joke seems to be that like he's a gastronaut and you think like, oh, he's a culinary like guy, but he just eats anything. Sacrifice a food, Ragos deals 3 damage to each opponent. At the beginning of each step, if you gain life this turn, untap Ragos. We already saw Elegy. I think we haven't talked about this Sammy card, but the edge of desperation lies the edge of ingenuity.
framed
We'll talk about
by
the rest some other time.
basically a circle, which could be a moon or a planet. And so each piece has a very
Yeah, it could be a moon, planet. I mean, it could be a sun. I don't think it's a sun because realistically, this is super void. But interesting how like ambiguous these are, is just like astrological bodies. You can like interpret as whatever you want. Like there's a lot of like abstract.
similar composition.
Oh, look at that. Oh, man.
You guys, it's one of the borderless triumphants.
Oh, that's
Oh my God,
This
it's
is a
Ragos,
lobster
Deaf
chef.
Gastronaut.
So see, he's tossing his little mushrooms.
Listen, I am very familiar
Right?
with the Lobster Chef.
Because didn't you paint one for the main set?
I did.
Love this guy. I guess it's kind of a joke too because he's a lobster because lobsters are usually like food people like to eat, like a delicacy. So I guess the joke is also that he's like a food cooking other food, like people like to eat lobster. Also, I think there's a robot back there or something.
My favorite element of this painting is he's got an extra pair of hands, so he's able to hold this
Yeah, you can hold like the tiny little like teasing and stuff, and he's got like
sprig of thyme just like very daintily.
And I like the idea of him serving up nuts and bolts style like food.
There's a
I think there's literally metal in there.
jello that's got like a whole rusty gear stuck in the top.
Having just little bits of levity like that here style like like
Yeah,
food.
so the joke is like,
idea
he,
of
you know,
him
he might not make food that you necessarily want to eat, and that's just like, these edible or
He's
just.
got an extra pair of hands, so he's able to hold this sprig of thyme just like very.
That also explains like the
daintily.
artifact mechanic, like he can make anything food, like he's literally cooking.
I like the
Right.
idea of him serving up nuts and bolts style like food.
There's a Jello that's got like a whole rusty gear stuck in the top.
Having just little bits of levity like that here and there, I think can be very good for a set. You don't want it to be too one note. Lobster guy making gross food, like Zach. Way to go.
Now it's my turn to open.
Okay.
I'm excited. Oh, check it out. Right? Amazing Sliver Overlord.
Stealing that from you in the parking
No,
garage.
no.
I'm robbing you. I mean, I can't wait to see it in the news like tomorrow. Just like held at gunpoint. She said it would do it again.
I'll tell
Well,
you
I'm
a
out.
secret about the borderless special guest cards. I would have made the whole set look like that if
I don't blame you, but I understand Magic is like a precedent, so
there weren't smarter people around me to like calm me down a little bit. But that pulp cover style, the idea of people in the 1950s, what they thought the future was going to look like, because really like the influence of the creature
I
design.
mean, you know, everyone thought the future was gonna be like sci-fi, and now we have global warming, and President Trump, and genocide. Don't even have flying cars. Not that I want flying cars, to be honest. I don't trust normal people with like normal cars. So
at that time was monster movies, people in suits like waving their arms around really awkwardly, and so like
I
the
guess I didn't really think about this, but this could work as like a tokusatsu suit, just like the way it's built. Like you could totally have like a person in here and like their arms, and then just like wave like shit around because it's like big, like the way it's wide enough for like a person to like fit
pictures
in
are
it.
just like goofy and funny, and you know, all of the fun typography. That series is just one of my favorite things. For the Japanese showcase fractured foil, it was
Again, I keep getting Warhammer vibes from these, like especially these monolith armor, because it's like a big like guy in a power suit like punching an alien.
a really exciting opportunity
Yeah.
to highlight the art, the more kind of like anime flavored art style that we use on those cards. And the fracture foil is perfect for that because it's sort of really dynamic and really highlights the movement and the big monsters and all the excitement that's going on in those cards.
It's just so bold to see it in a pack. Like you're immediately going to stop on that one when you open a pack of.
And Galaxy Foil is back for this set. It was kind of a no-brainer. Again, we knew from the beginning, you know, it's such a fun effect. It's such a beautiful substrate. And if we're in space and we can have the art have stars and then the substrate have stars, like it's just such a fun, perfect moment.
I have never seen it look better, and fans are absolutely going to go nuts for
So
it.
can I just show this one off, just because
also
the
beautiful.
lands turned out so good in foil.
When they catch the light,
Yeah.
Another Galaxy
Look at
Foil.
that,
right? Galaxy
Wow.
Foil Swamp,
Me when they catch the light. The guy's tattooed on his knuckles.
light,
Yeah.
Another Galaxy
Look at
Foil.
that,
right? Galaxy
Maybe it
Foil
was
Swamp,
no, that was not on his knuckles. But he has tattoos on his
Huh?
fingers. So interesting.
right?
These look so good.
Yeah.
To achieve the magic look in the art, really, like the way we do that is we work with really incredibly skilled professional artists. So many of them are fans, so many of them are passionate. It blows my mind how many of them there are. It seems impossible to me that so many talented people could work for this game.
Kieran, how long have you been painting for Magic?
For Magic, I think since 2005.
2005. Huh? We can probably search that up on Scryfall, huh? Kieran. Yeah. Damn. Yeah, he has been. I didn't know he did the art for Olrund. Holy shit. This guy's been around the block. All that glitters. That's really. Damn, he's done some like iconic art. He did Ted Thomas. What's like the oldest art he made? Yeah, there's no way it's like Xanathar. This isn't in chronological order, probably, but release date. So if I go all the way back here, yeah, damn, he's been working for like a fucking while. Okay.
Around then,
So you did concepting for Edge of Eternities, right?
yes. A lot of the key art characters and
Yeah. Desert, once again, he has kind of like the vibe of like I don't think he is a part of the Monolith cult. I think he could definitely be working with them though. Like you definitely get like a slight variation of like maybe like not slight, like a bit of a variation, like the Monolith like vibe.
And then weapons and stuff like that. So
That's sick. The way it like clamps down like this. So like it sort of like seems like it sort of folds back. Maybe maybe I'm not understanding this all the way.
no, I love fantasy, science fiction, space opera. That was
Black people with gold shit always goes hard.
really exciting to work on. And
Kieran has something to show you.
oh yeah,
Are you excited?
a little bit.
Look, it's your cards.
The time
on
he's gonna rob you
set.
for your
That's cool.
cards.
Aren't they beautiful?
Oh wow,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like your work is so polished and incredible.
I always love giving you glowy stuff. Just
Yeah.
the way you manage the colors around the glows.
Oh, cool.
Especially for this set, just all these
Yeah.
like purples and blues that are blending.
Yeah, warmers versus cools,
Hell-
darks
hell yeah,
versus
guided by
lights. Try to
Do we have a It's not screwdriver. He even did like some of the cards for like Doctor Who. This guy's been like one of the Magic the Gathering artists, it looks like. Whenever Helio or another artifact enters creature in the artifact, you gain light, 1 life. Beginning of your end step, draw a card. If you gain 3/1, white card draw. Yeah.
have the silhouette kind of standing out, not getting lost.
Let's get into it with this.
Alpha Real.
So you know, what I'm talking about. So I'm just saying, I'm not completely insane when I'm talking about like card art, how like they use like they highlight silhouette and stuff. Like listen to how the artist talks.
Yeah, warmers versus cools, darks versus lights.
So you look like
Yeah.
if you ever just like listen to an artist talks
your
about like how
work
they
is
approach
so
art.
polished and incredible.
I always love giving you glowy stuff. Just
Yeah.
the way you manage the colors around the glows.
Oh, cool.
Especially for this set, just all these like
Yeah.
purples and blues that are blending.
Yeah, warmers versus cools, darks versus lights.
Fascinating, yeah. She's like a warmer color palette and it's cool. Dark versus
Try
light.
to have the silhouette kind of standing out, not getting lost.
Let's get into it with this.
Alpha Real. I think
This
that's
effect that you have here.
I really love water and organic materials. There's just a lot of play.
Yeah,
that
I've
you can
noticed.
do. So you can kind of really get into kind of noodle heaven, I guess. Yeah. Being able to sort of undulate through colors.
Afriel Stone
and-
Chosen.
This is like the perfect.
Is that the same card we got earlier? Afriel, where are you? Okay, this is Afriel Dreaming Acolyte. So it seems like Afriel probably has multiple cards in the set. Like sometimes Magic does this where like what it does is it basically like has several cards of the same character to represent like a character arc coming through. And what the hell is this? What's doing this massacre? Interesting. Oh shit, they have the card for this? Sorry. Infinite Guideline Station enters a ground.
Set for you too, because like
Yeah.
the space kind of acts like a liquid too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it really does. Sammy.
Mhm.
Yeah. Getting to work on Sammy was awesome. Similar to Alpha Real, kind of wanted their expression to be, pensive, almost troubled, I guess, in a way. Like,
Yeah,
I
sure.
love like how Intessa scores like they're also look for the cat, by the way. Not that I can blame them. But also like I wonder if like it's specifically cats from this plane that can weft walk, or if it's like if you bring a cat to this plane they can start weft walking. I assume it's like the former, because that's usually how it works in Magic. Is like usually that creature quirks are not like if I bring a Kavu here, it'll suddenly start talking. It's like the Kavu from this plane talk.
It's so exciting to see 3 brand new characters from Magic.
it is, yeah.
yeah, you do a lot of character work for us, but I gotta say you totally nailed these.
Oh, cool. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes,
Endstone.
The Endstone?
Beautiful.
Look at that.
Wow.
that's killer. That's
Yeah.
an painting.
That looks
Yeah.
useful.
And once you have it out, you're gonna win the game.
Sure hope so.
Yeah.
Counterspell, actually. Forgot to pay for Smothering Tide too. Whenever you play a land or cast a spell, draw a card. At the beginning of your end step, your life total becomes half. I mean, you should win the game, because if you don't, you're cooked, brother. That means your set, the present remains uncertain. I mean, I hope you win the game. I mean, that's a lot of card draw.
Something that Andrew Brown, who is the lead designer of the set, often says is that our sets are way better when we have fun making them. and I really believe that to be true.
I see it every day.
I think
how
it's just
much
true about art in
passion
general, though. If you're having fun making it, your art's just generally gonna be better. That's just my advice.
all my coworkers pour into this. We love Magic so much. Most of us got here because we love Magic.
Edge of Eternities is magic in space. It's like all the things you want from Magic, but you're on a spaceship and there's an alien chasing you, and maybe there's an alien in your co-pilot seat and he's your best friend.
It's just like Star Wars, just like, hit it, Chewie.
You know, that vibrancy, that richness of when you see something, you pick up a card and you're like, whoa, right? That moment, to me, that makes it all worthwhile.
It's going to feel like they're traveling really far away, but it's going to feel like home for them at the same time.
I hope fans are excited to see it. I really do.
The promise of space means so many different things to so many different people, and it's new places, it's new.
We actually do, yeah, Gene Morpho Imago. Is that actually what it's called? Gene Morpho Imago? Oh. So here's another Landfall card.
New things, it's new people, it's new planets.
And so I hope that that feeling of
pronouns.
expansiveness and the care and creativity that was put into crafting the scale of the setting really comes across. And I hope that the Edge is a place that fans love to visit for the first time, and also that our first visit sort of piques their interest to see more, because we've built this environment.
Yeah, I definitely want to see this playing again, mostly because what's interesting to me is that there's more than one system. So I'd love to see what the other systems are. And like, you could do something very interesting where it's like each system is maybe inspired by like different cultures or something. I've just been thinking about this because I was working on like a fan plane called like Salatium, and I'm like, with this set coming out, it might not make any sense to be its own plane. So I could just make it like a fan system within Edge of Eternities instead. That could be cute.
In such a way that there's so much more to discover.
Also, what's going on with still waiting for Zalfir though. We'll get the Zalfir set first, and then we'll go back to Edge of Eternities. Anyway, the thing I'm gonna go over for now. Ideally, I do maybe on a stream where I talk about stuff tomorrow, but I might prioritize playing Dweller's Empty Path tomorrow, just because I do want to actually play that game. I want to try to get this done before the actual set comes out, which we have plenty of time. We have like till July 1st. Not July 1st. We have until August 1st. Although I guess on Arena comes out a bit earlier. And I do also need to probably grind a bit on Arena because I want to get enough points to. Actually like draft a couple times. That'd be cool. So we'll see what happens. But thanks for watching this either in the VOD. I don't blame you if you didn't watch the live thing this is pretty long. This is probably like 2 hours or something, probably more. So I'll see ya later after I end stream. Hold on, I don't want to confuse people. Yeah, you're good.